So your strategy is go live and kick me off, so you go live without me? That seems strange. I'm like, should we go live? You're like, give me a second, and then you just kick me out. I'm like, what happened? So what did happen? Did you like start and it just like booted me for some reason?
I guess. Well, what I had done is I logged in on my computer and it took over as the host. And then it's like, hey, there's a new update. So I click OK, and then it like ended the meeting for everybody.
Okay, that makes sense. But that was pretty funny though. Like even though it wasn't on purpose, it's like, all right, give me a second, then bye.
Technology. It's
Yeah,
amazing until it's not.
yeah, kind of like travel. You're like, it's awesome. Ah, crap, it's not.
This is the
By the way,
best, JK.
this is my view. I don't know how well you can see.
Whoa. That's wild.
It seems like it should be cool, but at the moment after yesterday, I'm like, nothing is cool anymore. Like I've lost my sense of wonder for probably a day or so. I guess I'm just too tired for that,
Mm,
which is funny because I was like, I wasn't sleeping on the bus, but it's like I was, when your eyes are closed and you're like half asleep. Like
hmm
that was the entire bus ride.
Oh
Plus
man.
yesterday at like 10:30,
hmm
woke up today at like 8:30. So it's like I slept for a good 10 hours. Like I shouldn't be tired now.
hmm Ah man, reminds me of um our our van ride in Ukraine. We went like it was basically we were driving all night, but of course the roads, in other countries are like it's just dirt and potholes the entire way. So it's like there's no way you can actually sleep, and you get there and you're like feel awful, and it's just yeah,
So they're dirt roads and potholes. So dirt holes or pot
pretty much,
roads. Nice.
pretty much.
All right. So I guess after being kind of mean yesterday and leaving you on that cliffhanger, I guess I should explain the rest of the story. It's up to you. If you don't want to know, it's okay. I don't have to say.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So let's start at the beginning and work our way up. So I had to wake up yesterday at 5 a.m. because my bus left at 7 and the guy at the bus station said, get here at 6. So woke up at 5, still exhausted because I couldn't sleep until like 12:30 or something. So I got maybe like 4.5 hours of sleep max.
hmm
I got that. I'm like, on the plus side, I'll be so exhausted, I'll sleep the whole bus ride, so that'll be nice. So anyway, get there, wait, and we finally leave at 7:30. So we're half an
hmm
hour late than we're supposed to. So we leave and I'm kind of like, half asleep for a while. And the thing is, we're supposed to leave at 7 and get there at 4.
Mm.
So 9-hour bus ride. So we leave 7:30. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe get there at 4:30. Beforehand, I did research and because I know my SIM card won't work when I'm in the new country. So I'm like,
Hmm.
all right, find like a SIM card, like the company they have down here in South America is called Claro. It's
Hmm.
like a Claro store that was within walking distance. I'm like, if it's a 30-minute walk from the bus station, since I won't have internet, I can't order an Uber or anything. So it's like, if we get there at 4, that gives me 30 minutes, I'm good. If we get there at 4:30, that gives me 30 minutes, I'm probably not good. So I'm like, we'll see what happens. I'm like, if ever there's internet at the bus station, I can always, assign to their internet and call an Uber through there. And then if I don't have Wi-Fi until I get to the place, it doesn't matter. But anyway, that was the plan. So, just in the bus the entire day. So nothing much to tell there. We just stop every once in a while. Eventually get at the border and bus pulls over. We go inside. And the thing is, there's like an exit tax for Costa Rica. And when I was at the bus station buying my ticket, she's like, oh, it's $8 for the exit tax. I'm like, okay. And I try to pay. She's like, oh, we don't take credit card, only cash. I'm like, well, I don't have any cash. She's like, oh, it's okay. You can pay by card at the border. So I show up at the border, hoping I can pay by card. Turns out I'm okay, I can pay. So get past the first part of the border. Then we move past and we go to the actual border crossing where it's like they check all our passports and papers and all that crap. And as I go in, there's a guy standing by the door. It's like, hey, you have to pay the entry tax. And of course, only cash. And no one told me that. So it's
Mm.
like, I don't have any cash. I don't have any local currency. So even if I did have cash from Costa Rica, I still wouldn't be able to use it there anyway. I asked the guy, it's like, there an ATM? There's like, nope, there's no ATM here. The closest ATM is like 35 kilometers, like, down the road after you cross. I'm like, okay, so what can I do? I don't have any cash. He's like, you need cash. So like this goes back and forth for a few times. Like, you need cash. I'm like, I don't have cash. You need cash. I don't have cash. And eventually they're like, well, you can go inside and talk to another person on the bus and get them to loan you some cash. And then when you get to the next ATM, you can take the cash out and pay them back. So go to the guy who's sitting next to me, who happens to speak English, and explain the situation. And one of them, he was with 2 other people, and one of them's like, oh, there's an ATM back at the other border crossing where we just were like 15 minutes ago. I'm like, okay. So go back, have it cross the border, of course, to go back to Costa Rica. Go find the ATM, try my credit card, because so far since I've been in Costa Rica, my ATM card is not working for some reason, even though everything is fine according to my bank. So try to take out cash. It doesn't work. I'm like, ah, crap. So I'm like, all right, cross your fingers, try the ATM card, hope it works. And luckily it worked, because if it didn't work, I would have been totally screwed.
Dang.
So managed to take out money, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to take out US dollars because it's in Costa Rica. So it's either local currency or US. And in the other country, in Nicaragua, it's like either local currency or in US, but it's like, I need the right local currency. So I took out $20 US. Because the thing is, it's like $3 for the entry tax. I'm like, okay, I'll have $17 left. That way, if ever I need cash, like I should be okay. So go back, wait in line, finally get to the counter, pay, and I give him $20 and he gives me $7 back instead of 17. I'm like, why? But I'm just like, okay, I'm the last person going through. There's a chance the bus won't be there when I'm like done. So I don't give a shit if I just got screwed. I'm taking my change and I'm leaving. So don't know why I paid 13 instead of $3, but I have $7 left. So I'm like, grab my stuff, finish crossing. So luckily managed to get on the bus and not miss it, which would really have sucked. So anyway, get back on the bus, we leave again. And by then, like by the time we leave the border, it's almost 4 o'clock. And we're
Mm.
supposed to arrive at our destination at 4. So I'm like, there's no way we're getting there at 4. So keep going,
So
make
I'm hearing like all of these like things that happen. What I'm assuming is like a lot of this was like just stressful.
No, because I knew there was nothing I could do about it.
Hmm.
So I
Mhm.
wasn't stressing, I was just kind of annoyed. It's like, it
Hmm.
wasn't stressful. I'm just like, I have no clue what I'm going to do when I'm going to arrive at the bus station.
Hmm.
So I was like, all right, if there's Wi-Fi, I'll be okay. If there
Yeah.
isn't Wi-Fi, I'm screwed because I can't order an Uber.
Hmm.
I can't use any application whatsoever. I can't call the guy who owns the Airbnb because I don't have Wi-Fi.
Hmm.
And I only have $7, so I don't know if I'll be able to take a taxi because I don't know if they take US,
Hmm.
and I don't know if $7 is enough to reach my destination.
Mm.
So in my mind, I'm like, worst that happens is I have to walk from the bus station to that place. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
it's like, well, I didn't know at the time because I had like Google Maps, but offline
Hmm.
you don't see the distance because you can't see directions. I'm like, maybe it's like 10 kilometers. Turns out it was more like 12 kilometers. It's like if I had to walk, I would have walked for like a good 3 hours.
Mm.
So it would have sucked. Anyway, so still on the bus, we eventually get there. Well, no, we get to the city and we're kind of like, it's the place is in the center of the city and we're coming up from under and we
Hmm.
get to, I don't know, maybe a kilometer. Like I was looking on the map
Hmm.
and it's like we're about a kilometer away. So all the guy had to do is keep driving up, drive left, and we're there. So he goes there, maybe a kilometer away. He like turns right, goes down, goes left, goes up, too high up, goes right, too high right, goes down, goes left, goes down. Like he's doing so many fucking zigzags. Like it felt like he was getting paid by the hour. It's like the longer I'm stuck in traffic, the longer that I'm driving around, the more money I make. Like
Oh my
obviously
goodness.
that's not it. That doesn't make sense. Like the company would never hire someone on that basis, but that's what it felt like.
Mm.
I had no clue what was going on, but like within the city, we spent at least an hour and a half just driving.
Oh, good grief.
And it's like, I'm assuming there was a reason there was like detours or something you had to take. But it's
Hmm.
like we were crossing streets that we weren't supposed to cross. And it's like the tree branches were so low, but sometimes they were like hit the bus and we're like, what the hell is going on? So very, very strange. And it's just like the entire bus ride was supposed to take 9 hours. By the time we arrived, it took approximately 13 hours.
Wow.
Just 4 more hours than expected. So anyway, finally get off at the bus station. Of course, by then the bus station is closed.
Hmm.
I'm like, I look at my phone. It's like, all right, I see the Wi-Fi for the bus station. So there is Wi-Fi. I just don't have access to the bus station, so I can't see what the password is. Luckily, I'm able to ask the bus driver and he gives me the password. So I'm like, all right, cool. I have the internet. So contact the Airbnb owner saying like, hey, just got here. I'll like grab an Uber and I'll be there as soon as I can, probably like in half an hour. And then I'm like, all right, I go on Uber, try to order an Uber. Turns out Uber does not run here. I'm like, okay, take another app that I used in Colombia and like other countries that I was in that I know works. So I was like, try that one. Not available here either. The other app that I used in the past only uses cash, so I can't use that one either. So I'm like, all right, I can't order a car, so I can't use my credit card to pay. So I need to use cash. I only have $7 US. So approach one of the taxi drivers that's like hanging around, like, when you leave a bus and it's like all the taxi
Hmm.
drivers like, you need a taxi, you need a taxi, you need a taxi. It's like there's 50 of them. So
Hmm.
just like approach the nearest one and ask him like, hey, you taxi driver? Like, yeah. Okay. Like, I only have US. Is that a problem? He's like, no. So I'm like, okay. I show him on the map, like, I need to go here. How much is that going to cost? So he looks and he's like, oh, $5. I'm like, okay, cool. I have $7. He's charging me 5. I'll be okay. I'm not going to have to walk. So he takes me to the car. We get in and then he asked for like where it is. And I show him on the phone. It's like, he's squinting and like staring. He's like this. He's like 2 inches squinting and he still can't figure out where the hell he has to go. And I'm like, that is not a good sign. Like part of me is like, should I just get out? But I'm
Mm.
like, I feel like getting out and trying to get a different taxi is just going to make things worse at this point.
Mm.
I'm like, let's just stick it out. And then he's like, all right, can you give me direction? I'm like, I don't have internet. So he has to like He comes back next to the bus station, pulls over, goes to like a dep or whatever to like go buy internet for his phone because he didn't have internet. Then he has internet, so he's like, all right, give me the place again. So like I show him again and he's like having trouble. So it's like he gives me the phone, I input it into his phone, give it to him. He's squinting, trying to figure out where it is. He's like, it's not in the same city, it's in a different city. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like 3 or 4 other, like he goes to ask another cab driver, they come back, like there's 3 or 4 other cab drivers that like come and help him. And like, I'm just like, is this guy blind? Like, what the hell is happening right now? So anyway, eventually, like one of them like takes the phone and like he's like, all right, in Google Maps, like just press get direction, just follow the directions. So eventually it's like, all right, we're off. But at that point, like when the other guy was looking and trying to figure out where to go, I like opened the door because obviously the window was broken, so I couldn't open the window. So I tried opening the door to like show him on my phone. And the cab driver just like turns around, closes the door. He's like, no, don't like close the door. And he closed the door and locks it. So I'm like, what the hell is happening? It's like at that point, I seriously considered leaving the taxi, but I'm like, there's a chance this guy really sucks at what he does and he's an idiot and he undercharged me for the ride. So it's like, if I get out and get another taxi, they're probably going to try charging me more and I'm probably not going to be able to afford it. So I'm probably going to be screwed. So I'm like, let's just cross my fingers and hope for the best. So eventually we take off. He follows the directions, because the directions like, go on the highway, drive on this road, then like the, quickest direction. He takes like random small roads and like zigzagging all over the place.
Oh my gosh.
Normally I would be annoyed because it's a taxi, but I'm like, we already agreed on a price. So it doesn't matter. The price is not going to change.
Right.
He's like zigzagging. At some point, goes down a road, like stops midway, turns around. He's like, oh, there's like, there's celebration or whatever, and the road is blocked. And I'm looking at him like, the road isn't blocked. There's people coming from that direction. I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. So we go back, get some gas, find another road. Like eventually we get near, because like every once in a while, like I'm looking on the map to make sure we're going the right direction. Because I'm like, I don't trust this guy. So we get relatively close. I'm like, all right, we can stop looking at directions at some point. Like, the roads are like getting smaller and smaller and there's less and less buildings and it's like getting darker and darker. And I'm just like, at some point he just like, and you can see him like, he's like 2 inches from the steering wheel, like squinting to try to see into the darkness. I'm just like,
oh my word.
In my mind, I'm like, I just hope he doesn't run over someone. Because if he runs over someone, he's probably going to drive off. And I'm probably going to have to stay there trying to take care of the person, not knowing how to call 911 because my phone isn't working, hoping that someone's going to come and like tell him like, hey, call the cops. I'm just like, I really hope that doesn't happen. So anyway, so we keep going. Eventually he hands me his phone. He's like, hey, like, give me the directions. So I look at the directions on his phone. He's like, all right, keep going straight and then like go left and whatever. And so we keep going. It's like the roads get smaller and smaller. And at some point we're like on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. There's like forest around. We're like, where the hell are we? It gets to the point like in the beginning, I'm a little nervous. I'm like, is he like driving me in the middle of nowhere to like kill me? But I'm like, he's following the directions on the map. So it's like, he's starting to get nervous. And at some point he stops. He's like, no, this place like is dangerous. Like we can't keep going. And that's when I look on my map on my phone. And it's like, we're at the wrong place. Now, I don't know what they did. Maybe he did, or like another taxi driver like screwed up the location when they were like inputting the actual directions, but it's the wrong place. The right place is like a couple of kilometers away. So I'm like, okay, let's go back. Like I use my phone. So even though I don't have, I have GPS, so I can see my location on the map and I can see the destination. I just can't get directions. So it's like, I keep my phone, so I'm like, all right, go left, go straight, I direct him. And after a couple wrong turns, because it turns out that there's a street where we have to turn left, but it's like, everything's pitch black. There's no light. So we completely missed the street. I have to turn around, come back, go up like a super steep hill, like turn into a smaller road and then a smaller road, and it gets to a point where it's like there's a small road and it's just a dead end. It's like a couple 100 meters away. So I'm like, oh, it's okay. Like you don't need to go further. I'll walk this last part. So stops the taxi, give him the money. At that point, I'm like, hey, we took a wrong turn, even though it's not my fault. Like, I'll still give him like more. So we agreed to
Mhm.
5. I'm like, I'll give him 7. That's all I have. So I hand him the money. He looks at it. He's like, that's not enough. You need to give me more. I'm like, I don't have any more. That is the only cash I have. Plus, we agreed to $7 to $5, and I gave him
Mhm.
7. He's like, no, it's like way further than I was expecting, and we took the wrong turn. I'm like, it's not my fault you took the wrong turn. It's not my fault it's further. We agreed to 5. I'm giving you 7. I don't have any
Mhm.
more money. So we go back and forth like that a bunch. Eventually he starts saying, like, I'm gonna call the cops. I'm like, I don't care. We agreed to 5. I gave you more. And like, I don't have any more money. There's literally nothing that I can do. So
Mhm.
he keeps insisting, hands me back the money. He's like, no, you need to give me more money. And it's like, at some point he like backs up to turn around to go, and he's like, he starts driving away. I'm like, fuck this, I'm getting out of the cab. Like, I don't know what his plans are, but I'm not staying in this cab. So eventually get out of the cab. He says, like, I'm gonna call the cops. I'm like, go ahead. Like, not only did we agree to it, so he's in the wrong,
Mhm.
but he's half blind, so he probably shouldn't be driving anyway. Plus, he doesn't know exactly where I live because there's like another 200 meters
Mhm.
before I get to the destination. Plus, he doesn't know my name.
Mhm.
And given how lost he was, I doubt he'll be able to find this place again.
Right.
I'm really not worried. And even if he does and the cops show up, like, who cares? Like, I did nothing
Mhm.
wrong.
Mhm.
But I'm just like, this is insane. So anyway, eventually I made it, only paid $7.
So your hunch was right in terms of
Yeah.
not getting in with another cab driver. Can you
Oh,
like
I
this
probably
is
would have been.
just such a wild story. It's like you had like just barely enough money to like and get the dumbest guy that would agree to $5. Just
That's the thing. When he said
crazy.
5, in my head, I'm like, that seems really cheap. But it's my first time here. I don't know how cheap taxis are.
Mhm.
So I'm like,
Mhm.
I asked him, it's like $5 US. He's like, yes. So I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
we agreed to the price. No
Mhm.
matter what happens, I'm okay. So that was okay. So it's like, once I get off, he drives off. Like, I walk the last distance. It's like a small dirt path. And it's like,
Mhm.
there's at some point like a bunch of like people just like hanging out and partying. It's like they're drunk, that there's a woman who's like yelling at me as I'm walking past. There's another woman like on the ground because she's so drunk with a guy trying to like lift her up. And I'm like, okay.
Oh my goodness.
Then I get further along, there's like 2 kids running and they see me and they just like run away. And I'm like, really, you're scared of me? Okay. So anyway, keep going. Look on the map. I'm like, all right, it seems like it's here. There's like a house with like the gate and everything. Luckily, the gate's open. I walk in the backyard. I see like the building that I rented. So I'm like, all right, this is the right place. So it's like
Mhm.
going in the back. It's like there's no door. Dogs start barking. I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go walk to the front of the house. So I start walking to the front, and then the guy like comes out the back and he's like, oh, okay, there you are. So it's like, he gives me the keys, shows me the place. From that point, everything's okay. But I'm just like, this was an insane day. I'm exhausted. This is in the middle of nowhere. I'm regretting renting this place. And today I looked and like, all right, the booking is non-refundable. So no matter what, I'm stuck here for a month. So, oh yeah, the other thing I forgot to mention is yesterday, because we're supposed to arrive at 4, I'm like, well, I don't feel like I don't have any food. I don't have time to go buy food. So I'll just,
Mhm.
skip lunch and eat when I'm at the city before I
Mhm.
get an Uber to the place.
Mhm.
But by the time I get here, it's like 8:30 and everything. So it's like I didn't eat anything yesterday.
Mm.
So I'm here this morning in the middle of nowhere with no food, like no modes of transportation, no cash. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get food.
Man.
So definitely an interesting story. And it's
Wow.
too, because like the girl that I slept with a couple times when I was in San Jose,
Mhm.
um, we were messaging a bit during the travel, like while my internet was still working,
Mhm.
and she was like, "Oh, you're gonna have like an interesting adventure." I'm like, "No, I don't want an interesting adventure." It's like given everything that happens, like You jinxed me, didn't you? Uh, anyway, I survived. I made it. It's not the end of the world, but I'm just like, why can't things ever be simple? Oh yeah, other fun thing this morning when I was brushing my teeth, I almost threw up for some reason, which is weird seeing how I didn't eat all day yesterday. So I'm like, I can't throw up even if I wanted to. But why is my body telling me it wants to?
Dang.
So yep, that's my story. So let me ask you this. Did it live up to the expectation that I set when I said someone threatened to call the cops on me?
I feel like I feel like it surpassed the like. I mean, if it was like some sort of altercation or something, it's like, well, I mean, kind of that's expected. But like, just the way that everything kind of played out, and it just, oh my goodness, I don't think you could write something more absurd. It's just, man, what a crazy, crazy story.
So I don't think that my plan to work on the business today is plausible.
Yeah.
Because like I need to find a place to buy food. I need to find a place to buy a new SIM card and get internet. And what else? I feel like there's something else. Well, I need food.
Maybe get cash.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing, ATM. It's like I need an ATM, I need a like internet SIM card store, and I need food. So it's like I don't think I'll be able to get any work done today.
Man, that's
And
wild.
I'm like, what's the next thing that's gonna go wrong? Well, we're in the middle of nowhere. So either the power goes out or the internet goes out or both. That's pretty much the next step. So yeah, I'm not
There,
quite sure. But
there could be a coup in the country and everything gets locked down.
And the thing is, like, as we were driving around, because we visited the city quite a lot while I was
Hmm.
driving around the bus, it actually looks like a really cool city. Like
Mm.
there's sculptures of like trees that are lit up with lights like scattered throughout the city, and like it looks
Hmm.
really nice. And I'm like, I'm stuck in the middle of nowhere, damn it.
Dang.
It's like it's a cool place and it's nice that it's in the middle of nowhere because then I can be completely relaxed and in nature,
Hmm.
but it's like when I looked on the map, it looked like it was within the city. I didn't realize this part of the city is basically country.
Mm. How far is it? Like a fair bit of a drive.
Well, it's probably like 2, 3 kilometers from like the normal city,
Hmm.
but it's like if I have to walk 2 to 3 kilometers every time I need to go buy food or I need to go to the city, it's like
Hmm.
I can't order like a taxi or an Uber or something. Like this is gonna suck, especially since like beforehand, like I switched my location on Tinder and I started like matching here and I've like had conversation with a few girls. So it's like I'm
Hmm.
gonna need to go out and like meet people at
Yeah.
some point. I'm like, how the hell do I do that? I don't know.
Hmm. You need like a little electric scooter or something.
Maybe, I don't know. Like I really don't know. The thing is, like, even if I have an electric scooter, the hill to get up here is so steep. I don't know if the scooter is gonna get up. But anyway, we'll figure it out. Like it's not the end of the world. And it's like even if everything went wrong and I had to walk, like
Hmm.
I've walked more. It's like the only thing is it was like raining on and off. So it's like
Hmm.
it like just my luck. It's like I need to walk and it's pouring. But anyway, everything worked out, just not as simply as I was hoping it would.
Yeah.
And it just seems to me like when you buy your ticket at the bus station and they know you're going to be crossing the border, maybe mention that you need cash in order to cross. That would be nice.
Yeah, that's you'd think that would be something that they would share in the process.
The thing is, like, when at the bus station, it's like, oh, you don't have cash, you can pay in by card at the border. So I'm like, cool,
Hmm.
border, pay by cash. But it's like only the first border, and there's an ATM there. It's like no one told me I need to get cash out for the next border.
Right.
It's like they work there. They know this is how it works. No one
Hmm.
told me. No one at the bus station. No one driving the bus.
Hmm.
No one at the border. It's like this is so poorly organized.
Hmm. That's why those countries exist the way that they do, because nobody really
Just don't
cares. Nobody
understand.
talks to anybody.
Like the bus driver and the taxi driver. It's like you have yeah, like you have GPS. You can use Google Maps. Like just follow the road. Why
Hmm.
are you taking zigzags? It does not make sense.
Hmm. Reminds me a little bit of my grandma. It's like I don't I don't understand why she does half the things she does. It's like this does not make any sense. You're like wasting your time and everybody else's time, and you're not even doing anything that's logical. I it's really I don't know. I can't really put myself self in their shoes, but like as you're describing the story, like the way that the bus driver and the taxi driver, I'm just like, do do people there like just have some sort of vague idea of like, oh, it's somewhere there. I'll figure it out. Or I mean, to me, it would be like, okay, this is my job. I need to be precise. Like I need to be on time. I need to know what I'm doing. And like the way you're describing it, it's like the only thing that makes any sense to me is just like, yeah, I don't give a shit. It's like just whatever happens,
I don't
just
know.
so
The thing is,
weird.
even with the taxi driver, it's like Google Maps was on. Every once in a while, it's like turn left here, and you
Hmm.
just keep going. I'm like, what? What the hell are you doing?
What's the point of having directions if you're not gonna like take the
But
directions? That's so weird.
anyway, but like in a way, it all worked out for the best. It's like I only had $7, so even if he
Hmm.
wanted more, which he did, I couldn't give him more.
Hmm. That's
And it's like
that's
normally,
so
it's like
weird.
I probably would have given more because it's like it was far and we did get lost. It's like even though it's not my
Hmm.
fault, I probably still would have given more. But it's like this time I
Hmm.
couldn't. I literally could
Uh-huh.
not. And on the plus
So
side, when
weird.
you have stories like that, it's like no matter what people tell you, it's like, yeah, I got a worse story. So it's like I win. Even though I'm the loser of that story, I win.
Oh, snap. Oh my goodness.
But
That story is literally what we were describing yesterday when we were talking about like the weirdest, most annoying path where you feel like nothing is happening is actually like the shortest and most efficient path. It's like what you were just describing is like you had no money. It's like the guy that actually you could afford was the one that you ended up with somehow.
and you're frozen. We all have
And
our issues.
you're frozen too. But it's just really it's really funny that like we literally described this sort of like meandering like taking the strangest way like but it's like it looks stupid on the surface, but it's actually like there's another whole dimension to it where this is the only way that it can work.
True.
That story is like a really, really good illustration of what that is.
Yeah, it is true because every step of the way, even though it was annoying and frustrating, everything that I did was the simplest version that I could do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it was literally the easiest, simplest path,
Wow. So it
which
was
is
the
insane when you
easiest,
think
it
about it.
was the simplest. How how is it fun in any way possible?
Aside from the interesting story that I have to tell now, it really wasn't. However, like every step of the way, I found myself because like in the past, me from like a couple of years ago, I would have been like stressing and panicking, and it's like
Mhm.
now I'm just like, let's just wait till the next step and see what happens.
Mm.
And the ironic thing is, like in the bus when we were doing the insane detour, like we passed near here, so it's like it was maybe the closest we got was maybe like 2 kilometers from here,
Mm.
and we ended up like 12 kilometers from here at the end.
Dang.
It's like I considered like, should I just go to the driver and be like, hey, drop me off here? But I'm like, no, let's just let it play out. Because especially like, it's not like we were just stopping. Whenever we stopped, we were stopped because we were stuck in traffic. So it's not like he could really
Hmm.
let me off.
Yeah.
So he probably wouldn't have let me off anyway.
Hmm.
I seriously considered it multiple times.
Just kick down the door. Like, see ya.
That's the thing. I don't know if you can like force open the door. I don't know how that
Hmm.
works. I never tried.
Okay, so I have an interesting, like, I have no idea what's gonna happen. I don't really care, but this would be fun just to try it. So seems like we have this habit of like talking about stuff and then it happens in these like weird ways. So what if we like
I'm
what
the
if we make up
example. I'm the example. I'm the cautionary tale for that concept we were talking about 2 days ago. Of like, you think you just have to go to the circle and you want to go to the center of the circle, but it's like, no, you got to take this like all the way
Mhm.
around to get to the end of the tunnel. It's like that's what I did. My story was the exact
Uh-huh.
exemplification of what we were describing the other day.
Mhm.
Why do we keep doing this to me?
So that's what I'm wondering is like can we make up a story where all of a sudden like we're mega successful? Like can we make up like so what does it look like for people to want you and value you and say I need to work with you? Or I mean, I don't know what that maybe it doesn't come exactly in that form, but like how do you create a story where that's the
I just realized how it can get worse. My ATM card and my credit card could not work in this country. I haven't tried either of them since I got here. So it's like I could go to buy a SIM card and not be able to pay for it because neither of my cards work. And I can't go to the ATM because my cards don't work. I can't buy food because my cards don't work. I hope not, but it can get worse.
wow. So, okay, so how does this work in storytelling? Like you have this sort of like hero's journey of out
Yeah, that sounds about right. Pretty cool heroes.
conflict resolution. So it's like if you have this point where the hero goes through this big valley on their way up to the peak, it's like if every possible thing that could go wrong goes wrong, and like this is where you're at. So then what is the
I looked at that. I'm just like, I hope I'm there. I hope I'm not in the other small valley to the left.
yeah, you're like, oh, okay, this is where I'm. It feels like I'm here, but really you're only here.
To be fair, I probably am.
Yeah.
Because like every time I'm in a valley of like, oh, I missed my plane because someone at the airline screwed up and I have to spend like 7 hours at the airport getting a replacement flight. It's like that feels like the valley, but it's like, nope, that was like the smaller valley. This is the big valley. And it's like it feels like the big valley. But I'm like, there might be deeper valleys in the future. I don't know.
Or what if you are, whoops, what if you are here, but it's actually like the hero's journey is you always return home. So it's like, what if you've already made your way up here and you're like on your way back and you're like, you've gone, like you're on a descent.
Actually, that would make sense because I'm like, I know that no matter what happens, at the 1 year mark, I'm gonna go back home to visit friends and family. Even if I
Mm-hmm.
don't plan on moving back, even if it's temporary, like that is going to be the end of this journey. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's 7 months. So it's like I am on the on the way home. Like I am on the second half of this journey.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And something else that was coming up when you were drawing that, it's like, okay, what if there's a way that we can look at things and flip it? So it's like we're looking at it, it's like it feels and looks like I'm in the valley. But if I flip the image, I'm actually on the highest summit.
Oh, snap. Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you look at the reflection of something in water, it's the opposite. So it's like, what if I'm looking at this and it's like, oh, I'm in the deepest valley, but it's like, no, I'm just looking at the reflection. The real world is actually the summit.
Yeah. So it's like you're actually sitting on top of a peak and you're like looking at it upside down in some sense. Hmm.
I don't know. Like, I don't know what the best analogy for this is. Like, we keep coming back to perception is everything.
Right.
So it's like, all right, this, and it's like, what we were just saying before, perception is like, this feels like the long way and a complete waste of time, but it's like, this is the
Mm-hmm.
simplest, easiest version of what could have happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's like, all right, what is like because I like see this as a peak, as a valley. So it's like, what is the peak equivalent
Mm-hmm.
of this situation?
Mm.
Like to me, the peak seems like okay, it was a horrible journey to get here. I'm stuck here for a month in the middle of nowhere with difficult access to everything. The peak with this is we launch the course and make a crap ton of money.
Mm.
That is the peak version of it.
Yeah. So it's like maybe part of the reason that like you're there and it's like you're not completely cut off, but it's like it's easier to stay isolated than it is to be like out and doing stuff. So maybe the door that's opening is like, do you really want to finish this and make a lot of money, or is it? It's like that's what life is handing you. It's like I'm gonna make it harder for you to be distracted to see if this is really what you want.
Yeah, because I feel like okay, the plan that we came up with or 2 days ago is going to be delayed by a day because no way that I can do what I wanted to do today. Even if everything goes perfectly smooth and I'm able to get my SIM card and I'm able to get cash and I'm able to get food, like that process is going to take at least a few hours. There's no way that I have time to finish planning out the videos and recording the videos and uploading and finishing the funnel. Like there's no way that's happening. Which is good because we had that day of well, it's going to take me 1 day to finish the funnel, 1 day to plan the webinar, and 1 day for us to flesh out the webinar together. And then we have an extra day if we need it. It's yeah, we no longer have that extra day. That extra day is today. So it's either way, we're probably going to be on the same timeline we were at before. But it's all right, so what can we learn from this? What is the lesson? What was the universe trying to teach me with this, and how do I maximize the gains as a result of this?
That feels like a question best answered by not answering. It feels to me like that's the kind of question that we it's oh, we better do floaching instead of trying to answer that. That's what it feels like to me. Because I feel like we often get in these things of all right, so how do we figure out or solve this problem? And it's as soon as you start zooming in, it starts becoming fuzzy and it sucks you into that that vortex of things only make sense in this paradigm when it's just one part of a bigger system.
Okay.
It's the being high on the stomach juices of it's that you're letting yourself get eaten by that thing, and then you start just having that fantasy of just that one little thing.
Okay, what is coming up, and it could be totally wrong, but what if this entire ordeal, this entire story is going to be the story for the webinar in the future? So it's if we launch this and we're super successful, and then we're hey, this story happened right before we launched, and then we realized, okay, we need to flip this around, and we flipped it around, and we made $30,000 in the first 2 weeks or whatever. It's what if this is the story that perfectly illustrates everything we're trying to get people to understand in the webinar?
Oh my goodness.
Maybe not, maybe that's not it, but it's that would be amazing if it's the way to flip this around is use this story to flip it around and show people don't let your story or your beliefs hold you back. Flip it in such a way that it's kind of taking your weaknesses and turning them into strength. So it's we always perceived our weakness of being lazy, of wanting to have fun, of not wanting to work hard, of trying to be original. It's all these things, and it's not until we flipped that and used it to our advantage that we started seeing results. So it's maybe everything that happens to us is exactly that.
I think I know it. I think I know why. Because what you're describing is sort of what I've talked about in my own posts and stories about my experience is in some sense it's okay, here's the peak. It's you start oops. It's you're trying to figure out how do I
You don't.
I need to figure out how to draw this. All right, so we're aiming for this, right? It's like how we're always asking like how do we get to this spot right here? And we feel like okay, I've been working my way, it's like here's where I live. It's like I'm trying to find a way up this mountain. That's too steep. So I was like, all right, well, what if I go around this way and then, come over here? And so like try to climb up here and it's like this is really tough and it's like I can't make it that way and over here and it I'm just feels like I'm in the like I'm going backwards. Like I'm spending all of this energy. I'm trying to get here and it's like I've gone so far to try to figure out how to get here and I'm like I'm worse off than I was before. It's like here's where I started. Now I'm like even further from that thing. Like that's what it feels like. I've done all the right things, the quote right things. I've done followed all the stuff that people have told me. And I think what you said about like how do you flip it? How do you make it into something positive is like it's that thing of if you turn it upside down, it's like where you are is actually the so turn it upside down, it's like you're actually here. It's like the summit is act this, not that. And so like this is what we think we want because that's what everybody else portrays. That's what everybody else says you should be working on. What other people tell you is the goal. But the reality is like every single time that we've had any kind of success or had any kind of breakthrough or realization, it's like we do the opposite. And so like what feels like failure to us, measured by everybody else's standard, is actually more close to success for us than anybody else's thing.
I think I just
So
realized
it's like,
something. We we realized a couple days ago, story is the key to everything. It's the key to success in
mhm,
business. And what makes an interesting story? Is it climbing to the peak and being successful? Or is it going through this entire journey, overcoming all these obstacles, having all this struggle, and then succeeding? Like that
mhm,
is way more entertaining. So it's like the entire time I've been looking at this wrong. Like I look at other people, it's like David Goggins, who like had such struggle when he was young and like had to overcome so much. And like he was so
mhm,
successful. It's like that is inspiring. And it's like I feel like I've just had a normal life, but it's like I haven't had a normal life. It just feels normal to me. I've had a really like
mhm,
epic, adventurous life. And it's like that's gonna make it interesting to other stories. That's what makes the story of my success interesting. So it's like all these things that we perceive as failures, it's like that's what is making us more interesting as people. That's what's making our business more interesting. That's what's going
mm,
to attract us because we're creating a very interesting, very captivating story. And all we need to
mhm.
do is get to the point where we are able to tell people and get to pay us for that story. And we're right there.
It's I think you're right. It's like we were saying the other day, like we're only like 2 months into this. Like we had an idea, we had the episode like Apple is like, oh, you know what? If we just simplified everything, strip everything away, it's like help people build groups and tell a story that shows what kind of value they can. And like that's it. That's the whole business. If if the story that we tell is like really straightforward and uninteresting, it's like there's nothing fascinating about that. There's no reason to pay attention to it. It's like, hey, here's our system. It's like you do this, you do this, you do this, you make money. That's boring. If we're like we came up with a genius idea that was so simple, like it 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 couldn't be that simple, could it? But we felt like we had something, and then we had to learn. You have to stop talking about it um, in order to really validate. You have to actually put it in front of people, and we found that we spent all this time engineering how do we sell it, how do we talk about it, how do we make it enticing, and we realized that like we're just going around in circles. So we started talking to people and putting it in front of them, and that was when we started making progress. And then we started getting excited and feeling like, well, maybe we can launch this. And then like there wasn't a short path to doing that. It's like even though it's only been a couple of months, it's like all of a sudden all these obstacles started popping up. All of these things are it's like this should have been easy. This should have been simple because the system is simple. It's like it is simple, but life is gonna ask you, do you really want this? It's gonna throw up these barriers to you because if you really can get something that easy, that simple, it's like everybody would do it. Like the process is simple, but you have to show that you want it. You have to prove to the universe that you deserve it. And the person that's going to make a business that is easy, that is simple, that doesn't take a lot of effort is somebody who is willing to do all of the hard and difficult things, but doesn't need to. It's like you say, you know what? Maybe simple and easy isn't what life is going to give me. I'll do all of the difficult stuff in order to get there. And you might go on that journey, go through that path to find out. It's like, no, I was just messing with you. You can have it the simple way, and you find out about yourself that you can do even the hard stuff, but you don't need to. It's like all the stuff that you do where you do it to find out that you don't have to do it. It's like our system is simple, but even though we tell you it's simple, even though everybody else says like this system is like it's one thing you got to do, that is true. But what you're gonna find is as soon as you put forth the effort to go on that journey, all of a sudden all of these adversaries and dragons and like things to stop you from going on that journey are gonna show up because that's the adventure that you're being called to. Like that's the adventure that your life is. And it will be simple if you make it to the end. If you are willing to go to the end and become the hero. It's easy for the hero. You're not the hero yet. You're the guy that wants.
That is harsh, but I think you're right. It's like you're not the hero yet. You want
Mm,
to be, you're trying to be, but you're not.
hmm but everybody has what it takes to become the hero.
But at the same time, it's like you're not the hero because by the time you become the hero, you'll look back and be able to realize I've been the hero all along.
hmm
It's like you're not, but at the same time you are.
Yeah, it's hmm. Yeah, and that's like a weird backwardsy type of like it's hard to describe that in a way that because it doesn't make sense if you look at it through a logical lens. The matrix of it makes you feel like this should compute, but things don't quite work like that. Things don't work like that on in story. The hero was always the hero. They were always the same person they were. What they found out about themselves was they understood who they were.
I yeah, I think that's it. I think it's like that's the hero's journey. It's like you go through this thing. It's like you get to the end, you realize like, oh, okay, I'm just back where I was before, and I didn't need to go through all this. It's like you needed to in order to realize it. And it's like, what made you you? What made you that hero has always been there. That journey has allowed you to remove everything that wasn't you. So it's not about like, oh, you became this. It's you removed everything that was not this. So you've had everything. You just needed to go through that journey to remove everything else.
So the obstacles in life, like the journeys, the crazy stuff, like the thing that you went through yesterday, it's the like I wish there's a better like a better way of saying this, but it's sort of like it's it's the equivalent in adventure mythology of going to the dentist. It's like you you go to get your teeth clean. It's like we're not here to take any teeth out. We're here to remove anything that's not your teeth. Like
True.
we're just stripping away all the stuff that doesn't need to be there. And it's like it feels like this is a waste of time. It's like I don't have any teeth that need to be pulled. I don't have like I don't need any holes drilled in my but like that cleaning process is what you have to go through in order to not have any teeth pulled or need any holes drilled in your teeth. It's like in order to you have perfect teeth. To keep them, you have to go through this process that's like, all right, let's take everything away that doesn't need to be here. Otherwise, you're going to turn into something that's not you. You're going to lose yourself in what you think is you.
So I guess it comes down to, do you want to be you or do you want to be a plaque monster?
Yeah.
Um, I feel like there's something else here. Oh yeah, it was what was coming up before was, I mean, we've talked about this before, but it's like life, a life worth living can never be simple. There will always be struggles and things to overcome. But that does not need to be combined with being successful. So if you disassociate the two, as long as you, in some area of your life, like I'm going to challenge myself, I'm going to work hard, I'm going to overcome obstacles, I'm not going to hold back, and you separated that from being successful, you can be very successful very easily. It's just that most people think it needs to like it's together, kind of like
Right.
business money. It's like, oh, you want to make money and you think you need to build a business to do that. It's like, no, the two are separate. Like you can focus on building a business and working hard, but it's like the money is probably going to come from something completely different. So it's like I think it's that same principle of like it's a necessary part of life. It's necessary for success, but it doesn't have to be linked to your financial success. And it's like that's what I'm noticing. It's like, you know, going on this adventure and experiencing all these things is making me go through all that, you know, struggle and stress and worry and like all those things. It's like, okay, so if I separate that from business, then the business aspect of it can be super easy and simple. And it's like, so far it has been. It's been super easy and simple and fun and like it never feels like work.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's a question of perspective. Maybe life doesn't need to be that difficult or complicated, but I find normal, easy things to be boring. So it's like, I'm going to make my life complicated no matter what, because otherwise I'm going to be bored. But I don't want this part of my life, the like complicated, challenging part, to be linked with business and success for money. Like I want those two things to be separate. Like I want the challenge because I like whenever like last month, like it was very boring. I didn't do anything for a month. And it's like, I kind of miss it, you know, it's like I miss, well, crap like yesterday. Like I don't enjoy it while it's happening. It's like I enjoy those challenges and those
Mm,
obstacles. Last month was just a very boring month, being stuck in a very boring apartment with,
hmm
you know, like we were working on the business and that part of it was fun, but everything else was just really boring.
oh,
Like that's fine every once in a while, but it's like I need challenges and I don't want my challenges to come from money. I'm done
mm,
struggling for money.
yeah. You know, what you said is something I've been thinking a little bit about for a while. It's it's this idea of, all right, let's see if I can describe this. Oops. So it's like, here's the money. Let's
Some of
say,
that,
like, let's say here's family.
dude,
And what?
dude. Once like we're successful, let's say we're successful like in a week from now, we make like 10,000 bucks or whatever. It's like
hmm
I can literally say I went from 0 to 10,000 because right now I have $0. I have
Oh,
absolutely
dang.
no money. It's like I can literally say I went from being in a foreign country with no money, like no food. It's like it's literally the rags to riches story, and it's actually true. Like, okay, it's slightly different than what people think when you say like rags to riches. They think like
Yeah.
you're homeless living on the street. It's like, no, it's not that, but it's
hmm
true. I had no money. I had no food. I was in a
hmm
foreign country in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere. Oh man, dude. Oh, oh, oh. What if this is the magic of having a business best friend? It's like I'll handle the struggle and the hardships and all the obstacles and all the crap. You be successful and we just split the profit. So you don't have to go through all that crap. And I don't have to go through the trouble of doing all the things that I don't enjoy doing to be successful.
Oh, snap. That's what it is. It's like, okay, so here's the mountain of gold, right? Like, here's the coins that we're trying to stack up. This is the
Golden
ugliest.
food.
Yeah, exactly, golden poop. But it's like this comes attached with, all right, in order to earn this, like you're gonna have to do, like, this thing is gonna come with uh like a monkey's paw type, like there's strings attached. There's difficult sacrifices. It's the like, you know, you make the devil's bargain, you trade your firstborn child for it kind of thing. Like, if you want this level of success, money or whatever, it comes with certain burdens, certain requirements that have to be met. It's like these things for you feel like you're dying, feels like suffering. But these things are things that it's like, okay, but for somebody else, they're like, well, that's not even challenging to me. That's like, I do that for breakfast every day. So the trick to having an easy business, or having getting this without this, is you say, well, what if I take half of this and I give it to, like, I use half of this to pay somebody who, like, this is not hard for me. This is fun. And so you find somebody who, like, if that's fun for you, you do these things so that we get access to this and you get half. It's the
Half
it's
set,
it's
half,
it's
half cess. Sorry.
it's the mafia and the Joker making the bargain in The Dark Knight. It's like, They want to get rid of the Batman. They don't know how to do it. He's like, that'll be play. Like, I'm gonna enjoy this, but I want half. Like, it's a good deal for them in the sense that if they don't, they have nothing. They are still screwed. They can say, all right, well, if we're willing to get half, and then it's like that opens the door for something. They can keep. It's like the bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. It's like I'll take one, one half of what's actually real instead of two theoretical things. So the business best friend, it allows you to get something that's real and not have to have the like all of the pain that can come with doing it yourself. Like, what if somebody enjoyed doing that? It's like I hear people say like, "Oh, I hate marketing. I hate sales." Like, well, what if you partnered with somebody that was all they wanted to do? They had no interest in coaching. They had no interest in, um, in the research or something. But the stuff that you like to do, you do that, and the stuff that you don't like to do, find somebody who that's fun for them. And then instead of having to like force yourself to like work super hard to get results, like what if you're just enjoying yourself and you can have, I don't know. It seems to me like half of the success you're trying to have and have it be fun and easy lets you do like half the amount of success over and over and over and over and over again instead of being like, well, I want all the success, but I do it one time because it was so painful and I just give up. Like, well, I had that experience. I'm never doing that again. And I think that's what people do. It's like they keep jumping from thing to thing to thing because they try it and they're like, well, that's not the thing for me. It's like, well, if you would just pick something, anything, and do it again and again and again, you would get results.
But I'm just like wondering, to go back to what I was saying before, it's like the world works, the universe works on balance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you partner with someone, it's like, would it be possible to decide like, okay, you're going to handle all the struggle, all the challenge, all the hardship. I'm going to handle another section and we just split the profits. Like, would that work? Or is it like each person has to go through their own struggle?
I don't know.
It's like, if we can take it on, it's like, I'm more than happy to take on the struggle. It's like, crap, like yesterday, like, if that's my job, I'll happily do it. And we'll just like, split the profits. Like, I don't mind if that's my part of the business. Having to like, force myself to do stuff that I hate for success, like that I'm not willing to do.
So, okay, what you just said sounds like the same thing to me. It's like, okay, uh, being willing to do hard stuff versus doing stuff that you hate. So how do you categorize those? What constitutes something that you hate versus something that's like really difficult but that you like to push yourself to do?
All right, let me give you an example. Let's say it's like death by 1,000 cuts versus like getting your head chopped off. Like the end result is the same. But to me, the like slow and steady, and you got to keep working hard and follow the plan and all this. I hate it. It's like,
gotcha.
cut my head off any day of the week. Okay, that sounds weird, but you know what I mean. It's like, let's say you have to like, travel 100 kilometers. I'm like, I'm going to destroy myself trying to walk it in one go, rather than walking 1 kilometer a day for 100 days. Like that slow and steady is going to kill me. So it's like, that's what I mean. So it's like, building a community, unfortunately, is slow and steady. Of like building relationships and creating content and all that stuff. And it's like, it's not hard, but every time I try to do something like that, I just hate it so much that I end up giving up. Whereas it's like, hey, if we got to do like the challenge, and I got to do like an epic challenge to show people like, hey, this is what you need to do to be successful. And it's like, you build a community and I just have the challenge and share the story. Like, that is totally fine with me. I'm totally fine like going to extreme limits and destroying my body and my mind so we can like be profitable, and you take care of like building the audience. Like whatever that ends up being, like that split, like I'm totally fine doing that. And it's like some people are like, well, no, it's not fair that you're the only one struggling and challenging yourself. But I'm like, it doesn't seem fair to me that you're the only one building the community, but you enjoy that and I hate it. So it's like, what if that's the deal? What if like I'm the one who like, I mean, I don't know how exactly this would be, but it's like, hey, I'm okay taking on the challenge and doing that part of the business. You take on the like, hey, let's build this community. Let's, do the slow and steady.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like, I'm just wondering if I can take on that part for the both of us, or it's like, well, you still need to do that in another area of your life.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in some sense, like the way I've been thinking about it is like, so have you ever watched like a cat um
Yeah.
stalking things? Like if you're looking in the direction of the cat just holds still. If you're not looking at the cat, like it'll sneak up on you and it'll try to go like as it'll go as fast as it can and then it just freezes when something looks in its direction. And I think that's kind of how the universe works. I think that a cat is like a micro reflection of like wherever you put attention, time sort of slows down so you can slice it up and understand it. So it's like attention is the tool that starts to divide and separate things into its individual components. And so if you're like, if you're saying, how do I make a bazillion dollars? And you're like trying to figure it out and you're understanding the process or you're having the experience, it feels slow. If you put your attention somewhere else, like, okay, well, I want to have the experience of like living my life and doing the things that I really love. So then if you're sort of like automating the things that you need to do with your business, it's like, all right, I already know the steps and the process that I need to do. I'm gonna just accept that if I keep doing these things, the success will come. I'm gonna put most of my attention somewhere else and not force this to have to happen. So I'm just going to keep doing it until it works. And so wherever you put your attention, it's like that thing is going to slow down, the other thing is going to speed up. It's the relativity equation of like if you're going at light speed in one direction and then you come back, the guy that stood still is going to be ridiculously old, and you've only experienced a year or two of having been moving because where you're placing your attention, you're slowing the process down. So I think on some level, it's like we're we're trying to figure out how do we make this work, and that's what's stopping us from success. If we're just like, all right, we just need to launch this. Like, what are the things we need to do to finish to launch? We'll just do them. Just keep doing them until we launch, and then we're gonna make money. So what are the other things that we need to be worrying about? It's sort of like if we know we're gonna be successful, it's like, oh, well, maybe we need to like set up some business bank accounts, or it's like maybe I need to like go uh I don't know. Who knows? I don't know what the next thing. It's like if we were successful, what would we be doing next? And like start putting attention there and say, okay, I got to start working on this challenge.
Yeah. By the way, are you doing magic? Because stuff keeps like popping up on the screen. Like you're touching stuff, but you're not actually touching anything. Whoa, you're doing magic. You're not moving. Oh, never mind.
What's that?
It's just like every once in a while something like pops up on the screen in the back. Like you're touching it, but it's like you're not touching it. So I'm like, weird. It's kind of like something gets highlighted as if you're pressing it. Yeah.
Oh, there's like a little, yeah, there's like a little message that's like the Wi-Fi is whatever, trying to connect to something.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, two things came up when you were talking. First of all, it's like, what do I need to go do? And what came up was, you need to go fuck yourself. Just because I'm like, it popped up, I have to say it. And the other thing is, I think you're right. I think that's why floaching worked. Because we focus on one thing, we ignore the thing that we want to get traction on. And then it's just like at some point, like, click that one tiny thing I need to do. Boom, let's do it, get result. And that's why it works.
Mm.
So like when we looked like 2 days ago, when we were like, all right, we just need to finish building the funnel. So it's like, I need a day to build the back end of the funnel, record the videos, upload that. I need 1 day to flesh out the webinar. We need 1 day together to finish structuring the webinar. And then we're done. So it's like 3 days of work and we can launch. But it's like, we never would have gotten to that level of clarity without like the month and a half of work that came beforehand.
Yeah. And so maybe the trick is like, we know it would be awesome to have this thing going by August 12th instead of saying, all right, I'm looking at this and I'm going, all right, we have 3 days worth of work. Like, let's hustle and get those 3 days. Maybe it's like, we have 3 days worth of work and I don't care how long it takes. Like, maybe we do a little bit of it at a time because we're doing something else. And maybe it's just like the time that we spend. It's like however much we get done is however much we get done.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you stop looking at this in terms of like, all right, when is it gonna be ready, kind of thing. Like, we just walked past a pear tree this morning on our walk, and like I've been watching the fruit grow on it, but it's like I'm not spending time thinking like, when can I pick it? It's like if I lived at that house and I saw it every day, I'd be like, when is this ready? It's like I don't think about it until I'm on my walk, and it's like today there's a pear like on the ground that was, and Edith's like, a pear! I love pears. So she picked it up and I was like, it's funny, like I didn't have to do any work whatsoever to like harvest that thing. It just was like it was ripe, it was ready, it fell down. It was, and like I've thought about it collectively maybe 5 minutes in the last 6 months. Because it's like as I walk past the tree, I think about it and then it's like I forget about it. Whereas if I was like, if it was my tree, I'm like, all right, when can I go get a box of pears? It's like, they're still not ready. They're still not ready. They're still not ready. Whereas like, if it's not even yours, like, it's like magic. So how do we, this is the storytelling aspect. Instead of trying to be the author, we need to be the main character, because when you're the main character, being the main character of your life allows you to step into the role of the audience where you're just watching it happen. It's like when you're trying to figure out, well, what do I need to do next? Like, where do I need to send them? Where do I need to like make all the stuff work? It's, I don't know, in some sense, it's like what you want to see as an audience member is like, I don't want to figure it out. I don't need to know how it works. It's just tell me a good story.
I think you're right. I think this entire time we tried being the author when we were supposed to just be the main character. And I think that is like ultimate surrender. Like people are like, I surrender to life completely. It's like they accept I'm just the main character. I'm not the story. Like I'm not the author. And it's like some
Yeah.
people take it to the extreme where they're like, I'm just reacting to everything. I'm not taking control. Like I don't think it's necessarily that. You can do that if you want. But it's like you just need to be the main character. It's like, all right, what is your story goal? Like, what is the adventure you're on? What are you trying to accomplish? All right, how do you try to accomplish this? But it's like come at it from a main character's perspective, not from a storyteller's perspective. So it's kind of like, oh, dude, it's the
I just
show
had an
don't tell.
idea.
We realize storytelling is the key, but we're like, as storytellers, we're like, well, this is how the story works. This is how we're creating the story. But it's like, that is showing them, or sorry, telling them. We need to show them. It's like, we don't need to tell them how we're constructing the story. We need to show them how we're living the story.
Instead of this guy. It's like that's what we want to feel is like, well, we're in control and we're creating the outcome. But you can't do that from inside the game. It's like if you are this guy, everything that you do to try and force the outcome of being the player means you're not doing the role that you're built for. And what if you're not a character in a video game that allows you to do that? It's like, what if you're a character in a novel and you're the hero? It's like, and by trying to direct what's happening, you're saying like, I want to be the player, I want to be in charge, I want to be the author, instead of just like, just let the story play out the way that it's going to play out, because somebody else already knows what the ending is. Like their life is already orchestrated in a way where if you if you sit back and watch the story and allow it to be a good story, it's like that is how to be the player. Is like let go and just like let the stuff happen. That's how to be the hero, is not try to be the player.
I love how when you
It's
underline
sort of
player, you
like
underlined lay. It's like you got to be a player. You can't just lay there. Which is ironic because
yeah.
here, but whatever.
But I sort of feel like it's almost like we keep coming back to this idea that it's like the opposite is sometimes like the missing piece of what's true. And I think there's something cool about the story of Free Guy, but I also think that there's like a missing principle of this NPC character who kind of awakens and becomes in control of their destiny. Like that's what we want. But the way that that happens in real life, it's sort of like, okay, so if that's the fantasy, then the flip side of it in reality is just just sit back and like accept what's going to happen. It's like let the let the things play out. I mean, it's like when you see this pattern pop up in other ways. Like when you're driving a car and you're skidding, it's like instead of trying to overcorrect, it's like you make it worse. You actually like let the momentum like self-correct before you try to get in control of the vehicle. Um, you like
Uh,
lean into what's happening.
I think. Okay, I think the beauty of being a storyteller is that you understand how storytelling works, and it's not so you can control your own story. It's so you can sense it coming. It's like when you understand how story works, it's like, all right, there's going to be an obstacle that's going to pop up soon, or it's like there's going to be an
Mm-hmm.
unexpected twist, or it's like it's kind of like it
Mm,
allows you to see and sense the foreshadowing beforehand,
mm-hmm.
as if you're just like stuck in the player, and it's like you're just swallowed in the story, and you don't realize you're the main character. You don't,
Mm-hmm.
you just like get stuck and you're like overwhelmed. You're like struggling. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
how do I struggle? How do I do this? I'm trying and it's not working. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, ah, it's like, if you're like, okay, I'm the main
Mm-hmm.
character, I can't control the story, but I can understand it. I can
Mm-hmm.
sense what's coming.
Oh, dude. Yes. It's sort of like it's like playing a video game that's based on a movie. It's like, yes, you're playing it. Yes, you're in control, but at the same time, you're absolutely not. It's like the story's already set. And if you're going around being a good job at being a player, what you're actually doing is you're allowing the story to unfold the way that they want to tell it. So it's like one of the games I remember playing as a kid was like um, GoldenEye, this James Bond, game on PlayStation, and it's
Yep.
like the game itself is actually like just like little condensed versions of scenes from the movie, and then it's like the levels are all right, there's two or three basic puzzles that you have to solve. It's like you got to go somewhere, shoot different people, it's like find this missing, whatever thing to like progress. And it's like the pattern of the game is just like, all right, what next obstacle are you going to come up against? You're going to have to die a few times to figure out, oh, so what I'm looking for is I got to go do this and this and this and this. And you start getting used to, like, you're not in control of the story, you're not in control of really anything in that game, but you have the illusion of being a player and being in control. But really what you're doing is you're doing all the steps that have already been pre-programmed and planned out for you. And the better that you're able to recognize the pattern allows you to play the game faster, win faster, but it's not like you're actually deciding what's going to happen.
Yeah. To use your example, it's like we're James Bond, we have a mission to accomplish, and we're like, no, I want to be Frank and I want to go become a taxi driver. It's like the game does not allow you to do that. No matter how many times you try, you're not going to be able to do that.
Uh-huh. So
And it's
in a
to
sense,
stop and accept the fact
yeah.
that, hey, we're only James Bond and we're only supposed to be a super spy and save the world.
Hmm.
And it's like, if you embrace that, then you're like,
Hmm.
oh, being James Bond is awesome. I'm a badass.
Hmm. Dang. So in that sense, it's sort of like, how do you keep getting to know yourself well enough that you're like, oh, this is what I'm programmed to do. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, and just let it happen, as opposed to like, I'm putting so much energy in creating this. So like maybe the thing is like the way that making money happens for us is less like coaching and building stuff around showing people how to do stuff. And maybe it's just we just need to be fucking good storytellers. And it's like um it I don't know. I have no idea. It's like at this point it's just sort of like, well, we have things that we're setting out to do and we just need to do them until it's like clear that like that's not what we were supposed to do, or it is what we were supposed to do. But just be in action. So
I,
just play the level until you beat it or die.
but I feel like you just touched onto something. And because like we have a mission to do and we can try to do a bunch of other stuff and it never succeeds, it never
Mhm.
feels right. Like, what am I meant to do? And it's like, there's always a recurring theme. For me, it's
Mhm.
always been storytelling in some form or another. So it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm supposed to be an author. Oh, I'm supposed to be a motivational speaker. I'm supposed to,
Mhm.
be this, be that. It's like it always ties into to speaking, to telling
Mhm.
stories.
I
So it's
gotta
like
go.
I know that whatever I'm meant to do is linked to story. I just need to figure out what exactly am I meant to do in relation to story and how do I do it? Yeah, I need to record a video tour of this place, but I need food first and money and internet. Uh, I definitely need food. I haven't eaten for a day and a half. Uh, da, 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 da. The echo in here is cool. It's nice for singing. La, la, la. I'm having fun. Hey, no person watching. You know what's weird? There's no mirror in the bathroom. And up until recently, I thought there was no mirror in the apartment. It turns out there's a small one by the entrance. So I'll be able to shave. Like, it would be weird, like, if there's no mirror, it's like, how the hell am I supposed to, like, shave? Or, I mean, okay, I'm a guy, so doing my hair is not that important, but that would be weird. Welcome back. Out of curiosity, could you hear what I was saying the whole time?
Yeah.
Nice. It's like, whatever my story is, it's linked to story. So I think it's one of those like stories within a story kind of book.
hmm
And I don't know what that story is. And maybe all I need to lean into is just like embrace storytelling in every single form. And whatever's meant to happen is going to happen.
hmm
So it's like, I don't need to decide. It's like, oh, I don't need to decide if I'm going to be an author or a motivational speaker or whatever that version of storytelling is. I just need to follow what it tells me inside and just live this story and make the most of it.
Mm.
I just really hope the story is going to involve making a crap ton of money.
There's something that's just can't quite make it out, and it's probably not something I need to try and force. Hmm.
Uh, I also hope it's not the kind of story where my credit card, my debit card is not going to work, and then I'm going to have to walk all the way back here and call my bank and be on hold for like 2 hours. I hope it's that kind of story.
So let's see. I mean, if this is literally the I had no money, I had no food, no transportation, I had no way to like didn't speak the
Dude,
language.
this is like one of those, what would you do if you lost everything and you only had a ClickFunnels membership? It's like, this is, what would you do if you had nothing, only an internet connection and a roof over your head? Because that's literally everything I have right now.
Oh, snap. Hmm. Okay, yeah. So like what if there was this what if this is it? It's like this is the starting level. This is like you're starting at square one from the ground up. And like there is no course, there is no bank account, there's nothing. And
Well, technically, I'm starting from the bed up.
but it's just sort of like, yeah, it's like the first part of like Zelda. Uh, like he's in his little house. He's got a bed and that's it. Like you don't have any sword, you don't have any tools, you don't have any money.
It's funny because there could be like a more rocky rock bottom, but I feel like this is the closest I've ever been to rock bottom.
Is there a treasure chest in that house?
No, but there is a lockbox, which ironically, I don't even know if I have the key to. Let's see. It would be hilarious. I open it, there's like just a stack of cash.
The last guy that was there
Nah,
was
the keys
literally
are
like
too
a
big, so I don't
spy.
have the key. I don't think there's anything inside.
That would have been funny. Some guy sticks his like all his multiple fake passports and multiple countries, stacks of dollar bills.
I wonder what I would do if I found that.
Good question.
Because part of me would be like, he's probably a criminal, so I could just steal everything and not feel bad. But I'm like, I'm not really that kind of person. And it's like, would I just pretend like I didn't find it? Would I be like, hey, I found your shit? Like, I don't know
Hmm.
how I would react. But I really like the idea that this is like my rock bottom. Because like this is
Hmm.
probably the closest I'll ever get to this.
Okay. I have a good idea for floating. Okay. Let's say let's zoom out. I feel like what we're doing is like we're looking at this little teeny tiny spot. How do we make money? How do we do this thing? And
Is this
we're
good?
like standing on this little planet. There you go. That's zoomed out. It's like, what if this is not about us making money? This is not about us being successful. It's not about us figuring out marketing. This has everything to do with like, are we really ready to become the heroes of our life? And this is like the inciting incident. Like everything up to this point has just been our normal life. Like, and so it's like we think we've gone on adventures, we think we've been doing things. Really, we've just been like sitting in our house, going to the market, like talking to the normal people that we've been talking to.
To be
But
fair,
it's
that's what we've been doing.
and it's okay. So in my head, in this floating in this fantasy story, it's sort of like if every single like what if there this is like it's like Men in Black. It's like Men in Black. It's like all of these like sort of alien
Dude,
life forms. Looks like a bunch of sperm.
funny. It's funny because we're using the video game analogy and you were frozen like in a video game.
But it's like okay, so this isn't
Dude,
what.
you know how in some video games, like in the loading screen, there's like a video that plays?
Hmm.
Like, what if our life up till now has been that loading screen?
Oh dang.
Like, it's just the character going through his normal everyday life and it's like waiting for us to start the game.
Oh my gosh. It's the little auto run program. It's like at the beginning of Super Mario where it's like he's automatically running the levels as the like screensaver and nothing's actually like you're not even playing it yet.
I've never actually played Super Mario,
Oh,
so I mean, maybe just like once or twice with friends, but it's like I've never
Uh-huh.
really played
Paid
any of
attention.
the games.
Yeah.
But like I figure it's the same. Like in Assassin's Creed, like when like
Mm-hmm.
the world would load, like you just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
be able to run around like in a empty
Mm-hmm.
space.
Right.
So it's like this entire time we're like, we're playing the game. It's like, no, no, you're waiting for the game to load. And now it's like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, the game has loaded. Are you ready to start? It's like, actually, no, the game loaded like 20 years ago. We just forgot to press like start.
Dang. Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering. It's like, what if what if like learning how to make $1 million is not about learning how to make $1 million? It's like it's something that is so hard that almost nobody is willing to do it. Almost nobody
Dude,
use goes through the process of doing it. It's like that is actually where the start button to the real like entry to the universe actually is.
dude, that is why. That's why nothing we've tried has worked. Because we're still in that loading screen mini games and we can't do anything here. We can't do anything until the game starts, and we can't like when we haven't started. So it's like we just need to start the game, and then what everything we start doing is going to start yielding results. Gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think that that's sort of what it is. It's like we think we're playing the game and we're not. It's like we're riding home from the store with the game still in the packaging.
Okay, this feels good. And let me just say that bye.
I just turned off my video since the connection is so like unstable.
Yeah, let
But
me
yeah, what
just say that now that I realize like, okay, this is my rock bottom. This is my like, you know, I lost everything and I'm starting over again. And then like it's the start of the official game. Like, all right, this is my start. It's like the first few steps is get a SIM card, get money, get food. You know, the basics of like, you know, find a weapon, like get some armor and like find a map or whatever. Like the
hmm
most basic steps in the game. Like that's what I'm about to do.
Mm.
And then the next step is like, all right, go on a mission. And the mission is like, oh, finish the funnel. The next mission, oh,
Mm.
webinar. The next mission, all right, let's finish planning out the webinar together. All right, next mission, funnel is launched. Let's get clients. It's like we can't do that until I've collected the basics because I'm just starting the game.
hmm
And we do that until we start playing the game because so far we've just been on the loading screen.
Dang.
So I'm ready to start the game. Are you?
Yeah.
All right, just for fun, what is your start of the game? Because I feel like everyone's playing the same game, and we decided to partner up for this game, but we're different characters, so we have different missions and different starting points. What is your beginning to the game? Are you
Okay, so I
not
think there's
one of those sperm?
yeah. I'm one of the sperm that didn't make it.
Oh, dude, what if that's what life is? We're all the sperm who didn't make it, and we're like in the trash bin of life. Oh, that's
Oh,
funny.
dang. No, but something's coming up here. This is why. This is why you can't follow everybody else's thing. It's because there's a thing that's meant for you. like if you're trying to go after the same business or the same formula or strategy that somebody else did, it's like that's their egg. It's like everybody else who gets there, it gets there late. Nobody else will conquer that world or create that system as well as the person who did it first. It's like, okay, if you try to build another Amazon and do all the exact same things Jeff Bezos did, good luck. It's like the closest thing that comes to that is maybe like the trying to remember what the name of it is. The Chinese, yeah, the Chinese version of it of it's like it's kind of a similar platform, but it's not. And it's by
Yeah, like
nature, it's a kind of different thing because it's like it serves an entirely different audience on a different part of the planet. And it's like the model is not actually the same model as Amazon, but it's got a lot of similarities.
yeah, like I don't know what the
But
model is
they're
that purchased it, but it's like Amazon has tried competing in those regions and just always fails. So it's like
right.
that company is doing something different than Amazon.
Hmm.
So it's really not a copy, it's just
Hmm.
a different play.
So in a sense, it's like in order to play the game, you have to find the start button that is your start button. And most people go through their life not even realizing that's like, I haven't even started playing.
Okay, I just thought of a dumb joke. It's like, I hope my start button isn't my penis because it's broken. Which
But
is
maybe
ironic.
that's like,
If that's it and it's broken, then I'm screwed.
well, but that's what I'm wondering is like all of these things that we think of as like aren't going right in our life. It's like it's because we're not actually playing. It's like this is just the demo thing where it's like you keep seeing the same like the character dies at the same spot every time. It's like because it's not a real game. It's just a pre-programmed load screen or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like a demo. It's like we
Hmm.
get to a point and then it automatically ends and we fail and we're like, I don't get it. So we try again a different way and it doesn't work and it doesn't work. And we're like, no, we just need to
Hmm.
find the right way. It's like, no, it's a demo. You're not playing the real game.
Yeah, and in some sense, it's like we keep trying the same things. We just find a way to tell ourselves like we tried something different. We keep doing the same stuff without really doing something really new. And I think that's why it's like it's important to like lean into the things that scare you. It's like what are the things that you've never done that like scare the shit out of you? Because those are where the thing it's like that's where the real stuff is that you haven't done before.
So what you're saying is if ever I come like face to face like a tiger, I should lean towards the tiger.
Maybe.
I really like this of like, all right, we figured out we're in the loading screen and like I think yesterday was kind of like I accidentally pressed the start button and like crap's happening and I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? And now it's like, all right, game has started. I need to start going on missions. And it's like, it's very clear where I need to begin. So where do you think you are? Like, do you think you haven't started yet? Do you think you have started? Like, where are you in that journey, if you will?
I think for me, there's I think there's three main things.
I see what you're doing. You turn off the camera so I don't see you eat.
um, I think one is being willing to learn like the numbers and the finance, like the detail stuff that feels boring. Like learn how to take responsibility for those things, love them, and then at the level that I need to hand it off, like actually hand it off. But I think the first part is like I need to own doing this, even if I have to do all of it myself and rely on nobody. Like I have to do this because I can't fire it. I can't necessarily make it fun. I'm not at the stage where I can just fund it and hand it away. And on some level, you see stories where people do that. It's like they trust somebody else to manage it for them, and then they end up going to jail for tax fraud. Like because
And
they didn't want to have to own it, and they pay the price for that.
now they don't because they
And
broke
so,
the
right? But so
gosh.
on one level, I think it's the next thing that I need to do that I haven't done is go deal with all of the unpleasant financial things in my life that I just keep deferring because I'm like, well, when I make money, I'll throw money at it and make it go away. And I don't think that's how it works. It's like you deal with it when you have no resources because you still have to deal with it. And then once you get to the point where it's like, well, I'm willing to do it, then you break through to the point where it's like, you were willing to do it, but like you really don't have to do it. And so the other thing is like I think I'm seeing that there's as much as I on the hero's journey, I think for me, it's sort of like there's a whole aspect of like church and religion that I feel like is it's like it misses the entire point of what the value of that idea or that system is meaning to try and show. So like I kind of had to go on this journey to figure out like what I even really thought about it, what I understand from it. But I think the like part of the hero's journey is that circle back around. It's like bring the fire back to the so what did I learn? And then I have to share that. It's like I have to go back to my hometown in some sense. It's like I've understood something different than everybody else has because I was willing to leave to experience something new when most people just stay in the same idea, same town, same worldview, and they never see it from another perspective. Now I've been able to see like
You just changed my perspective right now. So I think about different perspectives. That's a different perspective. And I'm looking up and I'm looking up at a hole. Am I in the butt of life and I'm looking through the butthole of life?
oh my gosh.
It's like I'm stuck in
But
the,
what if that's
the
it? It's
rectum of
like,
life.
and that's the kind of thing where we're saying it's like, what what it,
That would explain why my life stinks.
but it's like through this narrative, it's like, what is the thing that has like eaten you? It's like you're being chewed up, like digested and pooped out. And it's like you don't understand that that's what's happening to you because like the matrix of it keeps you in this illusion. Like we're high on the psychedelic experience of it, but part of what is happening is like everything that's not us is being like disintegrated. and and I think we're at a stage where it's like, okay, if we're about to press start in some level, it's like that demo version of the game has to die. The us sitting there, it's like, when is it gonna start? well, as soon as we press start and play the game, it's like the version of us that's like, I'm just waiting. Like I want to play the game. That wanting to play the game version of you goes away, and it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, shit. That is crazy. It's like we're in the loading screen. We're like, I don't want to start the game because then this loading screen version is going to die, and I don't want it to die. That is so dumb. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
exactly. It like, but it's this protection mechanism that keeps us where we're at. And I think like the way that I've understood this is like, okay, so I'm gonna use religion. So sorry, atheists. um, but it's like, okay, so what the one example that I know of that is like the great uh like hyper exaggerated like to the extreme so that you can understand the idea is so the the Christ figure or in the hero's journey, the protagonist of this story says, okay, here's this worldview that I believe in, and I'm willing to go on this adventure all the way to the point where I am willing to die for this idea. So it's like I'm going on this journey. It's like here's this little guy, you know, the Christ figure in the story is like, okay, so in order to pass through the underworld, it's like I've got to actually die to show my commitment to this idea. So if the idea is something like put everyone else before yourself, because when everybody does that, the entire world like rises. Like when everybody's concerned with like who can I help instead of how do I help me, like everybody gets taken care of. And I'm willing to go against all of the systems and wisdom that exists right now and be the bad guy, and be in opposition to everything else. And it's like I'm willing to be the example and die for this idea. And so then what happens is the people who are like focused here. So this is actually the like this is what people are focused on. It's like this person, this Christ figure is it they go to the point of sacrifice for the idea. They die for their idea, and then it seems like it's the end of the story. For everybody who looks away, it's like, okay, that story is done. They stop looking here. But the people who buy in and keep the story going, keep investing in it, that energy the of like watching it turn into something else, it appears that it keeps going and it's like now there's some sort of resurrection where it's like turns into a new form. So it's like you see a caterpillar go into a cocoon and you don't see the caterpillar anymore. So if the only thing that exists to you is caterpillars. If you're a caterpillar and you're like, oh no, Joe's dead. Joe the caterpillar doesn't exist anymore. It's like, well, I guess that's it. That's the funeral. See you guys. It's like, and you leave. It's like you're not gonna see this cocoon open up and turn into a butterfly. It's like, yes, there is no caterpillar anymore. But if you watch the entire process, the whole time you start to connect this different thing is came from this older thing. And so the whatever whatever that thing is transmutes into something else. So the analogy to this would be I'll use another story. So Grizzly Man. I don't know. Did you see the Werner Herzog documentary about Timothy Treadwell, the guy that hung out with bears in Alaska?
Nope.
So basically the story is there was this guy who's like he was not a naturalist. He was not a uh, anybody who had any knowledge, like zoological training or anything. He just was a guy who made up his mind, I can be friends with wild animals. He went to Alaska and spent a lot of his time hanging out with wild grizzly bears. He got to know these, like this little tribe of bears that would go out and camp with them. He kind of learned their body language and the way that they um, communicated, and he would, like, they were sort of like his friends, his pets. He would These are wild animals, and he got familiar with them enough that he wasn't afraid of them. They weren't afraid of him, and he could go and hang out with them. He brought his girlfriend to go camping, and they would go hang out with these wild bears. Well, what the reason that we know about him, or that it became a thing, was because he filmed himself quite a bit with these bears, and so there's footage of him. Well, he and his girlfriend got attacked and eaten by a bear. As they kind of pieced the story together, they found out that there was another, like a rogue male that he wasn't familiar with, that was not part of the group of bears that he was close with. So this bear came in, ate him up, ate up the girlfriend, and it's on tape. It's like the audio of them being mauled to death and eaten by this bear is like exists. They didn't show it in the documentary, but they showed the filmmaker like listening to it and with the mother. And he's like, you should never let anybody listen to that. Like, you should probably destroy that tape because it's traumatic. um, anyway, from an outside observer's perspective, it appears that this guy, it's like, okay, here's this crazy dude who says, I can be friends with bears, and I'm willing to go to the point of, like, I'm willing to die for this idea. It's like, I know how to not be afraid. I know how to make friends with these animals, how they can trust me. And it's like, we are looking long enough to see, it's like, oh, he was an idiot. He got eaten by a bear. Like, it appears that the story is over. We don't know what the story looks like from his point of consciousness. And it's like, on some level, the fact that there is a world class documentary by a world class documentary filmmaker, like, his story continues to live on. Like, in whatever way that we think we understand what life is, it's like his life he's just stopped being a human, and he's transformed into, now he's a story that is going to be told and retold as long as that story is interesting and useful to people. It's like he's become something else in the same way that, like, uh, like a Christ Messiah figure becomes a bigger idea that turns into a religion. And there's something about this that just seems so interesting to me about, I think for all of us, like, there's going to be something that our, is like, we have to commit to it so much that, like, to everybody else, it appears that we're completely dismantling and destroying our life. But it's like, this is the experience that we are meant to have, that we have to go through all of those things. And it might look like, oh, we had this rags to riches moment, and we kind of, the phoenix rises from the ashes, and it looks like a sort of like a death and rebirth kind of story. Or it might take a form where it's like, um, I don't know, like, maybe we fail at something, and continue to try, and it's like we're the best example of, like, what not to do, and people talk about it forever because it was just so stupid. I don't know. You never know. But in some ways, it's like those things are as much a part of our consciousness as stuff that's, like, physically around and present. In fact, those things sometimes are more real to us. because they're it's like we were talking the other day about like Greek mythology. It's like those nobody worships those deities anymore. Nobody looks at those stories as, oh, this is like actually how the world works. But those stories are such a part of storytelling, like it's almost inescapable. Like there you can't tell a good Western patterned story without in some way being indebted to what those myths taught us about understanding the world and understanding how to tell a good story. And so it's like it's there whether you want it to be or not.
Mm.
So I don't know. I'm not sure exactly the point that I'm trying to make. I feel like I'm still kind of trying to understand something, and I don't know what that something is, but I feel like it relates in some way. There's a feeling that is there's some thread connected to like what we're experiencing and what we're going through that it relates, but I'm not exactly sure how.
Can't really help you with that. I guess I got lucky because for me, it's like, it's a simple, like, hey, you're at the bottom, you need money, you need food, you need like
hmm
internet. So it's like, for me, it's very simple and very basic what I need to
hmm
do. Whereas for
Yeah.
you, I guess it's more like, because the thing is, maybe you already started the game, or maybe you're not ready to start the game. It's like, we don't know. Maybe you're playing a
hmm
different game. Well, I hope not, because we partnered up for the game, so I really hope we're playing the same game. Hmm. I don't know if you've ever played or heard of a game called Army of Two. It's a shooting game. It's like you can play the entire game. Well, you play with either like an NPC or you play with a friend, and you go through the
hmm
entire game with your friend. And it's like you need to help each other out. Like sometimes you can only reach places where it's like you need to give the other person a boost. Sometimes like you go
hmm
back to back, like when you're getting attacked and you like shoot the attackers and stuff. But it's like the whole
mm
premise of the game is there's two people you need in order to do this. You can't do this alone.
mm
If someone goes down, you can revive the other person. It's like it's
mm
very based on that cooperation, and I think like
mm
that's kind of like what we're trying to do here. Like we're
hmm
like, all right, partner up for this game.
Yeah.
And I'll try to be a better partner in this, in this life game than I am in games. Because in games, I'm the type of person who's just like, I'm bored. I'm just gonna run in and try to shoot everyone, and then inevitably like go down, and my partner has to go in and save me. Used to do that with my friends. Like there was a game we were playing. It's like
I
there's
think
wave
that's
after wave of enemies, and it's like at some point it's like I just like get I don't know. I'm not cautious enough, and I just end up going down. It's like he has to
hmm
finish the wave by himself, and then I
hmm
respawn for the next wave, and it does that like multiple times.
Oh, snap. Okay. I think I think what I just realized, I don't know if this is what I was trying to get to or not, but it's the it's the belief of somebody else that empowers this rebirth. So it's like in some sense, it's like that Timothy Treadwell guy, he would just be some idiot who died. Except for the fact that a guy thought this is a story worth telling. And that guy's belief in that being a good story is what caused it to turn into something new. So the partnership is essentially, it's like at some point there's gonna be this moment where the obstacles stack high enough that it feels like there's a wall that you cannot break through. Like you're basically dead. You've maxed out what you can do. And it's having somebody else continuing to say, nope, I believe in you. Like you can do it. Figure it out. Just keep going, keep existing. Exist through the like this crossroads of feeling like you're dying long enough until you realize, oh, I'm still here. It's that idea that I realized like a week or so ago where I was like, the thing I'm actually really afraid of is just not existing. Like at the deepest, most fundamental level, it's like I want people to pay attention to me because I'm afraid if nobody is paying attention to me, I'm going to stop existing. And I think part of the journey of life is learning how do you believe in yourself enough that it doesn't matter whether anybody else believes in you or not. But I think like the one step before getting to that place where it's like you are completely free of any need of anybody, it's like you get somebody, a partner, somebody who's like I'm here with you until you figure out what you need to figure out. It's that offloading the burden of belief to somebody else where it's like, well, I can do that. It's that it's the idea from like Peter Pan of like if you believe in the fairies, like they exist.
Okay, this is this might be a little convoluted, but sticking with the whole video game analogy, what you were just describing of like, I'm afraid that I will cease to
Hmm.
exist if people aren't around me to tell me that I exist.
Oh,
It's kind of
uh-huh.
like the principle of like someone's playing a video game and you're just an NPC, and if the player goes away, you cease to exist
Hmm.
because to him you do not exist. So it's kind of like,
Hmm.
it's like you exist, you're a figment of another person's imagination. And the moment they walk away from you, you cease to exist. It's like it's a video game version of that, the fear. And the thing is, it's like you are an NPC, but
Hmm.
you're also a player. Like your soul is the player and the soul is controlling you. It's like that's the real you, but the NPC part of you is still has that programming of like, I'm just an NPC and I'm going to cease to exist if like, people aren't around me.
Hmm.
It's like you need to let the NPC part of you die so you can truly become the player.
Yeah. Okay. I think I thought of another thing that makes this analogy like it feels like I'm slowly validating it through patterns that I remember. It's like in stories, especially movies, like there's so often seen there's this moment where the hero is like has appeared to die or is almost dead. And there's like one person like often it's like the romantic interest or like their partner, like they get shot or they, something. It's like, and the other person like has to like bring them back from the brink. It's like they're getting, chest compressions or it's like a kiss or like, mouth to mouth. It's like whatever the thing is, like they seem like they're dead, but there's one person that's like, sometimes it's like a crowd or whatever, but it's like there, it really is boils down to the belief and the like the love and focused attention of one person that this whole story has been about. So it's like the Beauty and the Beast is like she realizes that she loves him right as he's dying, or it's like the police cops. It's like one of them gets shot and the other one's like, oh no, it's like, and then you realize that oh he had on armor. And it's like, phew, he's not really dead, but it's like you went through that moment with the partner where you think that they've died and they're wishing that they had been there or whatever. Um, it's it's like the I think those stories are trying to show us something about like you need the somebody else in order to like when you get to the place where sometimes the only choice to save the idea or to create the new door is you have to die. In some sense, like some part of you has to cease to exist, whether it's like fear of making sales calls or like being willing to work more than you really want to or whatever it is. It's like, but that part of you has to die, and it's like you need some other part of you or an external person that's like, hey, I know you can do it. Um, that goes through that experience with you, where they're rooting for you to survive or go through that experience. We just watched the Lake House the other day. Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock romantic movie, and they had a scene like that. It's like it's like a romance movie, and then there's a point in the movie where it's like you think character is it's like their romance is going to be like broken off forever, but it's like one of them believes or wants it to exist so bad that and essentially it's like that character is standing in for what we want the audience to do. It's like believe it enough and the hero is going to like you're going to have the happy ending kind of thing. So in this scenario, the sale is here's your character journey. You're at the place where you feel like you've died. It's like I have to ask for help or this is never gonna happen. And we take on the role of the audience or the romantic interest where we say, you know what? I believe in you enough for you to exist again. It's like you can like rise from this uh apparent death, become the phoenix, become the something else that this story is going to continue. And that's what we're offering. Like that's what we're really giving to people when we say, hey, our system works. Like we'll help you make it be a success. We're lending belief in them so that they can believe in themselves again enough to try again and keep going. And maybe that's why these moments that suck for us are so crucial for our business or for like becoming the crappiest most extreme version of failure so that other people don't have to. You say, I went through this and I understand what it's like. In fact, I've been so far to the bottom that I can tell you you can make it. That's what those stories are really there to show.
I think I figured. Ah, crap! It started raining. Anyway, I think I may have figured something out. It's like it's not necessarily we haven't been playing the game. If we've been playing the game, it's like building a business is like where in certain games where you have to like collect different things and then you can craft a weapon or craft an object or something. It's like we go through the process of collecting everything, like putting it together, and right before we press the button like create, we're like, no, and it all just kind of like falls apart. And you go through that process over and over again because we're afraid of creating.
Mm.
And it's like, I mean, it can be also like that for life. So it's like we customize the character. It's like, okay, I'm going to be a mage. I'm going to wear a robe. I'm going to use like blah, 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 blah. It's like we customize the character. And right before it's like, are you ready to start? We're like, no, I'm going to switch. I'm going to be someone else. And we go up. No, okay, I'm going to switch. It's like we just keep going through that process and we stop the moment before we're actually supposed to begin. It's like we've done the prologue like 50 million times, but we never had the courage to press start the actual game.
Yeah, it's like, are you getting good at customizing your character, or are you getting good at playing the game?
That's really dumb when you think about it.
Yeah. But that's literally like Mark, when I was on the call like yesterday after the class that I did, I was talking to Marcus and he's like, that's the struggle that I'm having. It's like some of the people that I've been helping, because he's getting a few clients. He's found a niche where he can talk about something that he knows about and people are signing up to work with him. But he said like the girl that I helped the most, she had an ebook. We launched it. I built a funnel for her. She made $1,000 the first week, and then she wanted to change it. She was like, her book is to help beginners learn how to braid hair, but she wanted to start going after experts and people who want to run a business, people that she can charge like thousands of dollars to learn her system. And he's like, she just dismantled the whole funnel and tried to put in her own stuff, and she doesn't understand anything about marketing. He was saying literally what we were saying is like she goes from idea to idea to idea because she doesn't understand, once something's working, just let it work. Let like figure out how to make a system that kind of work even better. But she's like, $1,000 wasn't enough for her. She wanted to make uh, 5,000 bucks off a person. That's like, that was not the right product and the right thing to um, make that adjustment with. And it's like everything that I suggest or I try to get her to do, she either says she doesn't want to do it or she loses interest. And she's just constantly hopping and hopping and hopping to different things. And so she's not getting any success. But she's like, she already has influence in the industry that he's in with beauty professionals. People are listening to her. She's got a following. She has a product, but she won't let somebody help her because she has to be in control. She has to have the idea. She has to like make it work her way. And so she's busy customizing the character and not learning to play the game. It's like, okay, I keep dying at this spot. Like, what do I need to do differently to make it past this part of the level?
Oh, I
And
know. I need to
she's
create a new character.
right, exactly. And it's like, instead of dying at the same spot and learning how to get over that, it's like you haven't even been willing to press start. And it's like I think that's something that people, I mean, I think I'd probably do a post about that. It's like people who already have clients, but it's like, are your clients not listening to you? They keep changing their mind and doing different stuff. It's like you spend this time doing this work with them and they don't listen, they don't stick to the plan. Like you probably don't have your messaging and your story dialed in enough that you're pushing those kinds of people away. You need to be attracting somebody who's got the right things in place, but they also have the commitment to like do something long enough for it to let it. It's like they're willing to believe in the thing long enough for it to turn into something that's going to work. It's like your business is the thing that's dying over and over and over because you keep changing stuff. And you have to be the audience that's like, I believe in you. Do it again. Do the same thing again. Do the same boring freaking thing again. It's like, and just keep putting it in front of people until you believe in it long enough that it works.
I just realized something, and it not only applies to me, but to most entrepreneurs. I have commitment issues.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm gonna try. I'm all in. It's not working. I'm gonna try this. I'm all in. It's not working. I'm gonna
Hmm.
try that. It's like if I just stuck with one thing from the beginning, I would be uber successful by now.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think for me at least, I had to go through the experience of trying lots of different things to realize like that's not the way. It's like you go back to the thing that you're good at, that you like to do, and it's like and just keep doing it and keep doing it long enough to make it work.
I just realized why floating works. Because most people like realize subconsciously, like, oh, I have commitment issues. I just need to commit more. I need to be more motivated, more passionate. I need to work harder. And they try to force that process, and that doesn't work. So you just need to accept, like, I have commitment issues. I can't force myself to just be committed because that doesn't
Hmm.
work. I need to trick myself into enjoying the process of being committed to something so that I do the work and it doesn't feel like work, so that I do it long enough that I'm actually
Mm.
successful. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
what
like
giving is not a solution. We're not like, hey, we're going to help you become someone who can commit. It's like, no, we're going to help you find tricks to trick yourself into committing to something without it feeling like you are.
you know what's coming up for me? This, we all know that sex sells. Like this is literally the thing that sells relationships. Like the promise of this is it makes you go through all the other shit. It's like you got to go on dates with people you kind of know are crappy people. Like, okay, somebody that you kind of like, and you're willing to go through like some mediocre dates to kind of get to the place. Well, maybe I just need to be like slightly different to like figure out how to make it work with this person. And it's like this is constantly what you're after, but it makes you be willing to do the dumb crappy stuff. And the thing is like it doesn't change when you get married. When you find somebody that it's like enough of the big non-negotiable things are kind of off the table and out of the way. But the reality is like you are still a normal person with normal idiotic like irritating things that you do. Nobody's perfect. Like the other person is always going to do some little things that bug you and that you're like they're just an idiot. Like, why can't they just do it like me or, whatever? But it's like there are some parts of relationships that are so worth it. Like, for instance, you and you, I can't talk.
Our
Your
relationship.
and my friendship is like the best part about this is the fact that we both love ideas and we can spend a lot of time in that space where we both realize things about our ideas and about what the other person's experience is. And it's sort of like that's that thing. It's like, but we wouldn't be friends if we weren't also in a place in our life where we're kind of like, yeah, there's some stuff about our life that's kind of shitty, and it's like, I'm working on myself. I'm gonna be a better version. I'm gonna do some different things, some harder things, and it's like part of what we're doing is like we're finding a drug that like helps us get through the part of life that is not like very satisfying. It's like this thing, it's like, how do you find this in your business? What is the part of your business that's like, I'm willing to do all the stuff, the marketing and the sales and the shitty stuff that you have to do in a normal business. But this thing is what makes it worth it to try that. And I think it's the like making money, helping clients, seeing them succeed. Like if you realize like you can get to this by you got to stick to it. You can't just keep hopping from relationship to relationship to relationship and expect it to magically be deep. And it's like, oh, there's the one. It's like you find somebody that it kind of you're willing to put up with, and then you just keep going back to the same one long enough for you to figure out, oh, this is the pattern of like, here's how I do enough things where I don't completely make them hate my guts, and they like me enough to like consistently be around me. And it's like, and they know enough about me where they're not stepping on my toes and making me irritated. And and then this thing becomes a button you get to press whenever you want. And I think it's the same. It's like, so who are the clients? Who are the people that you're set up to serve? But like, it feels like it's hard to get them to succeed, but it's like, can you just do it long? Can you work with somebody long enough to help them get some great results? Like, this is the foreplay of learning the process of business. Like, can you figure out who can you help and demonstrate results in the thing that you're selling so that you can say, I know how to get to the end result that you want. I
I
don't
was
know.
just like, I was just kind of like linking every step of this analogy to like business. I'm like, all right, the kid is like the business. It's like most people, it's like, oh, I want a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then like they enjoy the process of having sex. And then like they end up getting pregnant or whatever. And it's like, it turns out, you know what? I didn't want to really want a kid. I just wanted to have sex. Now I'm stuck with the kid. So it's kind of like
Uh-huh.
people in business. It's like, I thought I wanted a business. Turns out I really wanted money. Once I started getting money, I realized that I'm stuck in this business now.
Yeah. I think there's a
And
lot of people who think they want a business and what they really want is money or stress relief from the job they don't like, or there's a lot of reasons why they think that a business is going to solve their problem, but it's not. It's having a baby that you got to actually take care of.
yeah, like the funny thing, what I was thinking is like, oh, you need to enjoy the process that comes to before sex. So like, dating and all that process. And it's like, for the business analogy, at least the version we're using, is like, you need a partner. So basically you need to find someone you're willing to have a business threesome with.
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise it's like you might as well just, you know, like if what you actually want is just sex, it's like,
Get a
buy
hooker.
some sex, yeah, get a hooker or buy some sex toys or something. But it's like, so you have to ask yourself, is what I want the experience of building something that's mine and taking care of it over and over and over and protecting it and keeping it from dying and atrophying because nobody else will. It's not gonna it's not gonna just like leap alive. And maybe this is where there's something missing in our marketing that
Oh,
it's like we promise the easy thing, which is what everybody promises, but it's there also is this flip side to it. It's like but the honest truth is like this is going to be a baby that you have to keep alive. So if it's not easy and if it's not fun and if it's not a normal business, like it's you're not going to want to do it. You're not going to want to do what it really takes to make a business actually work. And if you don't know whether or not you actually want to have a business and go on the adventure of I'm going to learn some like hard crap, it's like that process has to seem meaningful to you and you have to have the level of commitment where it's like I don't know what I'm getting into, but once I say yes, I'm going to keep going. That's what business really is. And it's way easier if you got a partner. Like you don't want to be a single dad or a single mom to a baby that's like
oh,
just
I definitely don't want to be.
a never ending energy suck. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't want to be a mom either.
But I feel like there's, when you were saying it's like, once you build your business, then you're stuck with it. It's like, we feel it's kind of like the same. It's like, oh, you have a kid. And it's like, you realize you didn't necessarily want to, but you're kind of stuck with it. It's like, yeah,
Hmm.
you can give your kid up for adoption. You can give your business up for adoption.
Hmm.
You can hire a team to run it for you, which is
Hmm.
the equivalent of, I'm still keeping the kid, but I'm going to hire like a maid and a nanny and a butler, and like they're all going to raise the kid for me.
Hmm.
And then there's the other version of like, you put the kid up for adoption. Or it's like, even though that's not exactly a, good practice when it comes to children, but it's like you can sell your child on the black market. Like for business, it's not as bad as that.
Hmm.
still kind of like that equivalent. Like you can sell your business.
Hmm.
So it's like, even though you realize like, oh, I just wanted to make money and I don't want to like raise this business, you
Hmm.
don't have, and it's not like a child where it's like it makes you a bad business owner to hire a team to run it for you or to sell it.
We're idiots.
I know, but why?
So I was thinking that we need to, in some way, like create something. Create like, oh, I'll help you craft an offer. I'll help you do the thing. We just need to find communities where what we're doing, talking about business from a storytelling and theoretical perspective, is interesting to people. Like, if what we do right now is the thing that people find value, we can go to people and be like, hey, we'll re-engage your community. We're going to get and talk for 6 hours on a live about business. Like, it's like, are we teaching? Sort of, maybe. Are we doing a podcast? Sort of, maybe. Like, we're just best friends, and this is the thing that we nerd out about, business. And are we millionaires? No. Does that matter? It's like, what if you could just have a live that was just constantly going all the time? And it's like an infomercial for whatever you know, we're creating the attention and engagement that your business needs to survive and be alive. So if you're doing a product launch and you want people's eyes and attention, it's like we'll be the clowns that just dance and get people's attention to be like, come inside the tent. There's something cool inside.
Sorry, I got stuck on, we're not millionaires. It's like, are you a millionaire? No, but I'm a thousandaire.
I'm a head of hot air.
You're what?
A head of hot air.
What if this is what we did? Like, we still need to finish the business that we're setting up because we can't give up at this point. Like, we need
Hmm.
to, you know, give birth to this baby.
Hmm.
But what if, in order to sell this baby, and that sounds really weird, but what if, in order to like sell the business and get clients, we're like, all right, we're just going to tell stories. What are the
Mm.
stories we need to tell? Who do we need to tell it to? How do we need to present that story? It's like,
Hmm.
it's not about business. It's about the business is up, the business is running, the funnel is up. We just need to funnel people into it. We want to do that through story.
Hmm.
And then it just becomes a question of what stories can we tell, who can we tell it to, and how can we make it more interesting? And it's
Yeah.
like, I feel like that's going to be a fun process. And it transforms what should be the
Hmm.
part that we struggled with all the time, which is, getting clients. And we're like, we hate that part. It's like, I don't want to like learn Facebook ads. Like, I don't want to
Hmm.
do like all that crap that I need to do. It's like, all we need to do is just tell stories. And if we pick the right stories that are going to like perfectly tied into our product and we present
Hmm.
them to the right store, to the right audience, we don't need to do any selling. We don't need to do any promoting. We just need to tell a
Hmm.
story. And it's like, hey, if you enjoyed this, like, here's the next step.
We're morons. We are absolute morons. Like, we have the business. We're gonna find ways to make it better in terms of like telling what kinds of stories that do specific things, work people through the storytelling is the funnel. But what we're doing wrong is we're on a platform where people are expecting content to come in a certain way. Like, 6 hour long lives is not the standard type of content that YouTube consumes. And we're not labeling it in any way whatsoever that describes what we're doing. We're not writing titles or descriptions or metadata that communicates this is business, we provide value, like here's some of the reasons why you might like what we're doing. We're just not telling anybody anything about what it is. But what I am realizing is like there are places like
Podcasts.
podcasts, um, Clubhouse. Like if we just had a room in Clubhouse and did the exact same thing, just be like the never ending business story where we just talk about whatever the heck we're going to talk about. But it's like we're just there long enough live where people can hop in and be like, hey, do we like these guys or not? And then, and then just like
Thank
when
you. You
somebody
know.
shows, but in some sense, it's like that's what it is. It's like people on Clubhouse just want to talk to other people. They want to sometimes they go to specific rooms to get specific help, but it's like if somebody's talking on a live, that urgency of like this is a live thing, like is interesting enough to get people to join a room and listen. That becomes your prospect. So if just talking is valuable enough to get a stranger to check you out, then it's like, what does that prospect want to know to perhaps work with you? And I don't know. I'm just wondering if we're super close and it has nothing to do with like maybe even a course is not. I mean, I think we still are going to build the course and like the land page and everything, but it's like, what if instead of running ads, it's like we just keep doing what we're doing, which is this, which is what we want to do anyway. But it's like you put it in front of the right audience, and then all of a sudden that show becomes a gigantic commercial for like a never ending, constant 6 hour commercial all the time for our program. And we just have people coming to us all the time without trying to get, I mean, we're not really trying even.
Yeah, I feel like all we need.
That's how we do the webinar over and over and over and over again to figure out like, so what parts of things do people respond to? It's like just just figure out what stories and what ideas do we need to build into the webinar, and then just go on Clubhouse and just keep talking about it over and over again. And like we talk about whatever we're going to talk about, we float and let it happen. But it's like somebody joins the room, it's like, so what is it you guys do? It's like, well, you just invited us to give you a webinar. And that's what we, well, Guillaume's been read by 7 million people. I've like produced TV shows that have been in front of millions of people, and so we're really good experts at getting great stories in front of millions of people. But the first time I was on TV in front of millions of people, like I didn't make any money or any clients or get any like uh, expertise. Like I didn't create any authority out of it because I didn't understand how to market myself, how to sell. And that's the thing you need. It's like you do need a great story, but you also need a great story exchange rate so that it's valuable enough that people want to work with you and pay you for it. It's like the thing
Yeah,
that we were talking about, it's like you need a sexy face for your business, you need a big space for your business. It's like that business space might not be on Facebook. Maybe that's where we host the community, but like maybe the attraction mechanism or the space is like Clubhouse or something like that. Or maybe I don't know anything about LinkedIn, but like I wonder what it would be like to have like 6 hour live videos on LinkedIn. I don't know what people, because I know LinkedIn's algorithm is TikTok. It would be cool to do like big old lives on TikTok, because TikTok, the attention there, but you have to have like 1,000 subscribers, I think, to go live. And since it's a mobile only platform, like there isn't a way to hack the algorithm like on YouTube. We just do it from Zoom or desktop.
yeah, I'm only like 900 away from that.
Hmm.
So, but I don't know. I feel like maybe we're being dumb as usual. And it's like we keep coming back to like, oh, like the story or whatever. It's like we're super good at stories.
Mm-hmm.
all we need to do is figure out how to sell our story.
Mhm.
That is all that we need to figure out.
Okay, hold that thought. I gotta go to the bathroom again.
I guess I'm going to go pee too then. Boom, 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 boom. Hello. Hello. Hello.
I was like, why
I'm like,
can't I
I'm
hear him?
speaking. He's not responding. I'm like, I'm not muted. What's going on?
Oh, man. Okay. So I wrote down the framework for what stories I need, but I didn't sit down and like make a list of what those stories are. So maybe we can figure out what between the two of us, what stories can we tell?
I don't know, but I just realized something. I want to make some chili. I haven't eaten chili in a really long time, and that would be good.
That's what I had for breakfast.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh my god. The only thing is, like, I have one pot here, and it's kind of small. It's like and the thing is, chili takes a long time to cook, so it's like such a long time to cook for such a small quantity. I mean, it's not that tiny, but definitely
Mm-hmm.
like not huge. Better than this, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. What did you want to come up with?
Um, so what story best illustrates that we're like
Idiot.
lazy, fun, normal people? Like,
Well, the fact that you just stand up in the middle of a sentence and walk away kind of implies that you're different.
hmm.
Ah, there you are.
Um, Hmm. Lazy, fun, normal.
Sorry, in order to distract you, let me just quickly like list off the things that I need to get. Like that first, like, the first few collectibles when I start the game, it's like
Mm-hmm.
lighter or matches so I can start the stove because it's propane.
Mm-hmm.
Food, SIM card, cash, mode of transportation, and a knife because there is no knife in this kitchen. It's like, okay, I need a crap ton of basic living stuff. Otherwise, I cannot exist. Uh, sorry, I guess I'm kind of distracted. So what were you saying? What do we need to figure out?
Oh, I was looking to see what kinds of stories we might be able to tell to communicate these different ideas.
I have no idea. To be fair, at this moment, my brain's just like, I haven't eaten for a day
I
and a
feel like
half.
you probably, yeah, I feel like that's probably what you probably need to figure out, like, what you're gonna do to go get some food.
Yeah, 'cause it's like, I'm like, all right, let's figure out business. And it's like, I should probably figure out how to get food before I starve.
All right, well, maybe we should
It's
just
like,
end the call so that
kind
you
of
can
like
focus on that.
if I crash and I'm on a deserted island and I'm just like, hmm, how can I create a hammock? That would be really fun. It's like, dude, you haven't eaten for 2 days. Find some food.
Yeah.
uh, funny. Your mouth is at the bottom of the screen and you open your mouth. It looks like the three little dots at the bottom of the screen were in your mouth. Do you have that on a computer or it's only on the phone?
No, yeah, it's just on the phone.
Uh, yeah, I feel like at this point I'm like too brain dead and distracted to be able to
Hmm.
be of any use.
So what do you need to get? What do you need to get for chili?
I don't know. Chili might be further down the line because now I mean, all I need is like can of like red beans, potatoes, carrots, tomato like paste or juice or whatever. And it's like
Hmm.
onions, like basic seasoning, and that's about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, talking about food is not the best idea right now. I need to, okay, step one, find an ATM, see if my cards work. If so, get cash.
Hmm.
Probably get the SIM card next. That way I can have internet and I can see where I can go find food, then go buy food, come back, eat. And the thing is, there's like other stuff. So it's like, I need kind of like matches or a lighter for the stove, but it's like, do I need to buy that or does he have some? It's like, I need knives to be able to cook, but does he have some? Because it seems like knives are a basic thing that you need in an Airbnb. So it seems weird that I would have to buy it.
This is this is going to be a weird question, but is there a way that you could ask the universe to bring you some food? And what I had in mind was like, I mean, girls know that guys, in some level, like to be needed. It's like that's part of the reason girls are so good at mooching off of guys. Like, is there a version where you can go on Tinder and be like, "Hey, I'm hungry. Who wants to bring me food?" Show off your cooking skills, and then and maybe you'll, maybe we'll have a date out of it.
That might work. Just the only thing is like it's this place is so like lost in the middle of nowhere. Like I feel like if I was a girl going to meet a guy that I never met, it's like it's that far away, I'd be like, no, I don't want to get murdered. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna go like with the flow. So it's like step one, find an ATM, get some cash,
Mhm.
and just go like step by step with no expectation.
Cool.
Just wondering because
Flourishing
like
in real life.
the nearest place to get food is like I don't know 1 or 2 kilometers away,
Hmm.
and it's like because of that I don't want to keep going back like every couple of days to buy food, but also because
Yeah.
of that I don't want to carry like a crap ton of food for 2 kilometers.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like how much do I buy?
Hmm. Just get some light stuff like bread and cheese for sandwiches, and then figure out the next step.
That's probably what I'm going to do. I've been eating like sandwiches for the last month. Uh,
You could do like
cereal and
pasta's
no
not
milk
too
because
heavy.
cereal is light and milk is heavy.
There you go.
Ooh, powdered milk.
You get to
Oh,
get
that's
some powdered milk, yeah.
anyway, I'll see what they have.
Cool. I'll let you go so you can actually get moving and get some food.
Just looking. Last time I ate was not yesterday, but the day before, probably around like 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay. I do want to do something before we go. Let's
Okay.
try this on a micro level. What would be the floating or like the adventure story version of you having an amazing conclusion to this? Like I haven't eaten in 2 days, and like I don't know what food I'm gonna have or how the end of this story is gonna go, but like what is that hero's journey for this? Like let's see how good our storytelling floating manifestation really is. Because it seems like whenever we talk about stuff, it does stuff. And I
Okay.
don't know that it necessarily is going to translate to this situation, but maybe something that we do translates to something.
Ooh. Something that I'm really looking forward to is taking a crap because I haven't eaten in 2 days. And once I eat, I'll be able to poop. So that'll be like a celebration. This
Okay.
reminds me of when I was doing my walking challenge, where it's like, all right, once I get back, like once I hit 50 kilometers, I'm gonna go poop. That's gonna be my celebration.
So instead of a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, it's a pot of porcelain at the end of the rainbow.
Nah, I was just making a joke. That's like, no, that's not what I want as my prize. That'll just be like a side effect, like proof that you've eaten, you now have something to poop. All right, seriously. All right. What's coming to mind is like my focus lately has been money. So
Hmm.
I want to get money by the end of this. And I'm not talking about like, taking money out from the ATM. I'm talking about like
Hmm.
finding money on the ground. Or I come back and you're like, dude, we just got our first client. Or like I
Hmm.
check my email, it's like, oh, I got a payment from PayPal from something. Like money that I
Hmm.
did not go and get myself. Like that
Hmm.
is my goal for this.
Okay, so if this is the like the valley before the summit, then the summit is money, and this is the thing that's like, okay, I had a crappy day, I didn't eat, it seems like all the odds are against me, but in the scheme of the story, it's like we're actually almost to the end of the movie. Like this is almost the moment of triumph. That's and we've gone through all of this stuff of like learning how to build a business, having a crappy friendship, making a show that nobody watches that's totally stupid, somehow gets us doing stuff. And it's like we've been doing all of this stuff, and now it just feels like things are getting worse, but it's actually about to get way better. It reminds me of the in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There's it's like um he leaves the factory and in the Johnny Depp and Tim Burton version. He's like he leaves the factory because he's like there's something like I don't know. To him, Wonka just seems like this selfish brat character, and he's like, "This isn't what I want." And and they go home and it's like, "Well, we still have no money. We still have no food." And the grandma that just seems like she's completely out of it the entire movie. She's just like, "Things are gonna get much better," and and that's what it feels like. We're in this moment of like, I don't know what the heck is happening with our life, but that's where it feels like we're at. Is in this big valley. But maybe what's right around the corner is like this results or a great ending to the story. So if this were like if this was like, okay, so this is like the first movie in a series where it's like with Harry Potter, he finds out that he's a wizard, and it's like the whole movie is him just getting introduced to the world, basically. And the end of
Wait,
the movie
Harry's
is like
a wizard?
him getting on the broom. What's that?
Wait, Harry's a wizard?
But it's like at the end of the movie, it's like this freeze frame of him on the broom. It's like I am now a part of the magical world of wizarding. There's no going back. Like that's who he has become now. But the whole movie is basically just him getting introduced to this whole other way of existing. And what if that's what like we're in? It's like we're about to press start. Like that's what this is about. Like this is maybe it looks like
Mhm.
money, maybe it looks like we start getting like millionaires messaging us and be like, hey, there's something interesting about like what you guys are doing. Like, tell me more. I don't know what that means, but it's like, what if the thing that we're in is actually us realizing like, oh, we just actually entered the next level, like the beginning of the real game. And
Okay, I
I
think
don't
I
know.
may have the solution to get us there. You ready? Yes? No?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Just need to play the Harry Potter theme song and we'll be good.
There we go.
But I think like this is it. It's like once I step out the door, it's like me stepping out the door and going like heading to platform 9 3/4. Like that's the start of the journey. It's like step one, like get to the plane to the train station. It's like, all right, step one, go to the ATM, see if I can get on the train station, see if I can get money.
Hmm.
And then step two, it's like, all right, get on the train. Step two, now that I have money, get internet. And it's like every step of the way is that the actual like
Yeah.
music? Okay. Because I don't know, I can't read music. Oh, okay. Since we're focused on Harry Potter and magic and everything, the conclusion of this like valley, like at the summit, is something
Hmm.
magic, a magical surprise from the universe.
Oh, oh, snap. A magical surprise from the universe. And you know what? In the end of Harry Potter, Gandalf, or not Gandalf, Dumbledore, he has the
Although to be fair, they
conversation.
are kind of the same person.
Yeah, Dumbledore has this conversation with Harry Potter, like near the end of the movie, where it's like he's telling him about the like the mark that was left on him from his traumatic experience, from being orphaned as a kid, from
Dude,
like
I already have a
becoming.
scar.
There you go. He's like, the mark that you have that makes you special is the mark that can't be seen. It's love. And maybe that's what this is like part of what this magical experience is. It's like, okay, maybe we get the money, but it's like that in some sense is going to show us like this is what's actually valuable about you. This is who you really are. It's like we already kind of know or we believe, we take on faith that like we are somebody that's valuable, that's special, and that's part of what we're doing is like who can we be that the world needs us to be, and that is just who we really are. How do we lose anything that's not ourselves? But it's like the what this is. It's like this is Dumbledore. This is the universe like validating. It's like you know what? You have something special that does make you the chosen one. This is the wink from the mentor character that's like, keep going. It's like you're just starting your journey, but like you are, you know, you have what it takes to become great in this world.
Dude, I just I always assumed that money and financial success was the end of the journey. What if it's only the beginning? What if I need that financial success so I don't have any limitations so that I can truly go on the journey I'm meant to go on?
Oh my gosh, that's like money is not the destination. Money is the your letter from Hogwarts saying, "Congratulations, you've been accepted into this next level, this secret world that nobody gets to see." That's what we're
That's
doing.
and I think maybe that's why we were subconsciously holding ourselves back because we just assumed like
Hmm.
money and success and all those things like that is the end of the road. Like I don't want it to be over yet. So we're kind of like sabotaging ourselves, not
Yeah,
realizing it's the end of this journey, but the start of the next, way more
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So it's like when you realize that, all right, when you realize that this is, it's essentially like this, and it's like, well, here's what your real journey is. It's like you just started. Like now it's like, oh shit, like I actually need to go way faster than I've ever gone. It's not like slow down because you're almost there. It's like I need to pick up speed because like I have so much more to go.
Yeah, so it's like
Never.
level one, we're like, oh man, I've been walking for so long. I just want to like be done. It's like,
Hmm.
no, you want to make money so you can buy a car. And then once your
Hmm.
car is like, oh, this is slow, it's like you need more money so you can buy a plane. And it's like then you
Hmm.
need to buy a rocket. It's like it's not the end of the journey. It's just you need to succeed in that journey so you can level up to the next one.
Yeah. It's like Elon Musk is playing that game. He's like, okay, you need to make $1 million so you can make $1 billion, so you can make $1 trillion, so you can. It's like the goal isn't be the richest guy. The goal is how do we get this species to another planet because there's stuff out there that we don't know about. It's like they're playing at a different level, and I think that's what we're realizing is like anything that we're not doing or that we're not anything that we're half-assing is like resisting because we're like, whoa, we don't want the fun to be over. And it's like, it hasn't even started. You haven't even pressed start. So it's like, the more that you hold yourself back, the,
People are idiots because they assume, like us, that money is the end. So they're like, I made money when I was young. My life is done. I don't never need to do anything again. It's like, yeah, but you're just being fucking lazy when you do that. It's like there's a whole other level, a whole other journey, and a whole other one up there. It's like, you want to stay stuck at the end of level 1 your entire life? Or do you want to get to level 10?
What if that was our clients? People who have money, who don't have meaning. We'll build the shit out of some meaning for you. We can tell you a great story that lights a fire under your ass. I don't know. We help
Anyway,
newly inherited rich people like figure out what to do with their wealth.
financial advisors. Are you rich? Fuck no.
Financial advisors.
Ooh. So it's not about how to like keep your money. It's about how to spend it and have fun.
Mm.
We'll teach you how to spend your money. Step 1, hire us to teach you.
No, but what if that was a thing? Like, what if there was a space where people who have money who are like, what can I spend it on? I'm bored. Like, I've gone on these vacations, I've bought my island, I have a jet. Like, I don't know what to do. It's like, because they don't have a purpose, it's like we just ask the questions. It's like, so what is it that you want? What is it that you like? And we just, so it's like we start giving them some direction and like a place to point the money gun that they have. I don't know.
You don't have a purpose, buy a porpoise.
Oh man.
We become known as the porpoise guys.
All right, I'm going to try an experiment.
I'm thinking I should really go buy some, well, get some money, get some internet, buy some food.
I'm gonna send up a beacon. I don't care about the outcome of this. I really don't, and I'm gonna forget it as soon as I say it. But like, just that intention that something like really weird and unexpected. That's maybe not stressful or painful, but it's very interesting. Like a twist in the story nobody saw coming. That
Dude, okay, you just touched into something. Remember, I'm assuming you've read slash listened to Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins? I don't know, because I keep mentioning it so many times, I
I
forget it.
haven't. No, I
Okay,
haven't read it, but you've read it, so yeah.
well, at some point, he shares a story where he's like, I approach life as if there's a God sitting in the heavens with a clipboard.
Hmm.
And like, if I stayed stuck, like in my dead end job, 300 pounds, never did anything, I would die, get to heaven, and he would show me these are all these things you could have done, like ultra marathon, breaking the world record for pull ups, like all these amazing things that he's done. And he's like, that's how I live my life. But I live my life one level above that. So I don't just want to live my life to the fullest. I want that when I die, I get to heaven. God looks at his clipboard and he's like, I never saw this coming. He's like, I want to surprise God. Like, what if that's what we did? Like the approach of like, we're not the storyteller, we're just the hero. The storyteller is our soul. What if we're
Hmm.
like, we're going to be such an amazing hero that we're going to surprise the shit out of our soul? Even the author is not going to see this coming.
Oh snap. So there's a level where like as the storyteller, you're willing this thing into existence. And then it's like, okay, well now I have an idea of where the story is going. The character is defined enough, like I kind of know what the character is going to do, but if you keep going long enough, it's like the character starts telling you what it wants. Like that's the level that we need to get our lives to. It's like where whatever force, if there is like a video game or an author or whatever, it's like whatever was creating us, we are now surprising it. It's like
Yeah,
this thing
'cause
is
I feel
doing
like
its own thing.
it's not like, becoming the character that kind of like steps off the page and it's like tells its own story. It's not really that. It's not about gaining control. It's about I'm so fully committed to being the best main character that I can be that it causes the story to evolve. And by the time the author is done writing it, they're
Hmm.
like, this is a million times better than what I pictured when I started writing it. I didn't see this coming.
Mm.
Like that can only come when the main character is like, I'm living up to my full potential. I'm
Hmm.
committing so much to being the best version of myself that I'm going to outdo even what the author thinks I can do.
All right. How much do you feel like your writing was living up to that? Like when you pushed yourself to finish a book in 30 days, and then I remember you had like you're really trying to figure out like how to make it work, and that we were kind of incorporating some of the stuff that we were experiencing and talking about and like becoming the bad guy. It's like, do you feel like the writing was changing, or was it still just like the challenge of the mechanics of let's just get enough of this done so I can say I've checked it off the list?
I mean, there was the challenge of writing it. Writing is always the challenge for me
Hmm.
because I love the prospect, like the process of creating the worlds and the stories and the environments and the characters and everything. It's like by the
Hmm.
time where I get to the point where it's like everything's ready, I can write it. I'm like, I already know everything's gonna happen. Like I don't
Hmm.
enjoy writing. Like every once in a while, like I get in
Hmm.
the zone and it's fun, but most of the time it's just like I gotta force myself to write.
Hmm.
And it's just like that process of like the challenge of like struggling of like I need to make it all work. How do I fit all the pieces together? In the past, I was always by myself trying to figure this out, and it would
Hmm.
take like days or weeks or sometimes months.
Hmm.
With you, it took like one conversation and everything just fell into place. So it's like I used floating, I think, for the first time when
Hmm.
creating that last book. And it just made the process so much easier. I'm just wondering, like, where are you going with this? Because it seems like you asked for a reason.
Okay, because okay, what I'm trying to figure out how to crunch this down to a simple idea. What if what if what we're building, floating, is something that is for creatives? And it's so let's just for example, let's say there's a say we have a community of writers, like people who are writing novels, and we find a tool that allows people to like rapidly solve problems and creatively like move the story forward so that they're not going through like what if we can get the writing process to be as fun as the creation process of the like coming up with and engineering the story, but like the writing part, is there a way that we can either find writing partners to do the part like we were saying earlier with the business of the writing is the part that they don't want to come up with a story, or like everybody's writing their own thing, but it's like, hey, I'm at the point where like the writing isn't fun anymore and I just need to like inject some fun and creativity into it, and then everybody kind of gets around and does the like a group floating session. But what I'm wondering is like is taking away the challenge or the boring or like the just having to finish it, is that the piece that we need to solve?
I don't feel like I need to solve it. And as you were talking, like what came up for me, like it doesn't matter. That's not
Mhm.
important. What I realized when you were talking was I don't want to become like, hey, look at me, like I'm a good storyteller. I may teach you how to be a
Mhm.
storyteller. It's like, no, I want to be such a good main character that people read my story and get inspired by it to live their own story. So it's kind of like, people who read The Lord of the Rings and were inspired to write their own book series. It's like, I
Mm.
want to be that. I want to be such an amazing story that I don't need people to pay me. It's like, hey, if you want to pay me, you can pay me and you can just accompany me on my journey. But it's like, I'm the
Mm.
main character, I'm the hero, I'm so amazing that my story can inspire you. That is the way that I help people. And it's like
Mm.
money is just going to come as a result of that. It's like when you're playing on that level, the universe is like, all right, you need more impact, you need more reach, you need more money. Here's what you need. And it's like, it doesn't mean like I won't necessarily, teach people or build courses or whatever that is, but it's like, I don't need to do that. That is going to come as a result of me living to the extreme, like to the extent of like, the author is surprised by the story by the end of it.
Mhm.
So it's like, I think for me, that's what I need to lean into the most. Of like just be so committed to being the most amazing hero of my story
Mhm.
that other people are inspired, that I am like myself, my soul, the author of my story
Mhm.
is surprised that like they didn't see it coming.
Mm.
Like that needs to be my only focus. Everything else is just going to happen as a result.
Man. So in that sense of surprising, like creating a story nobody could predict, then does that mean?
Oh, dude, I think I may have been subconsciously doing this because I believe that when you're so like extreme that the author does not see coming, sometimes that messes them up. And that's when shit like yesterday happens. Because the author panics, like, how the hell do I get out of this? It's like, all right, just throw a crap ton of shit at him. And it's like,
Oh, snap.
that's the proof. Like that's what's showing me that I'm living the way that I'm meant to live. When my soul is just like, okay, let's like distract him with a crap ton of like shitty stuff because he's moving too quickly. Like I can't catch up. I need to
Oh,
distract him for a
it's
while.
like
That
you're
is the
off the
proof.
map. You're off the
Exactly.
grid of the plan, and it's like, this is not going the way it's supposed to. Okay, let's throw everything that we can to drive them back into the where I had initially intended them to go. And by you saying like this stuff is gonna like I'm just gonna keep going through this because that's how like that's the unexpected twist is the character keeps going through stuff that they shouldn't go through.
I just realized something. This entire time I'm like, I need to not submit, but I need to, what's the word?
Surrender.
Surrender, yes. I need to surrender to the author. I need to surrender to the universe. I need to surrender to the story. It's like, no, what I need to do is surrender to myself, to the main character so fully that it gets to the point
Mm,
where instead of like it's the author telling me the story I need to tell, I'm telling my story and the author is creating the story around me as I go. So it's like the author is no longer directing me. The author is just crafting the story around me, and the universe is helping it.
that's that's what manifestation is. It's like when you become so much the thing that you are becoming, it's like the universe has to like respond and match your vibration. Like when you splash in the pool, it's like the water has no choice but to like, you know, make make waves with along with you moving your hand. And when you stop, like there's no more waves or splashes. So it's like if you as the main character continue being so much yourself that it's like entirely unpredictable. It's like no predetermined path or plan can be applied. And so it has to like we have to write the story around where this guy's going because we don't know like it's not our story anymore, so to speak. It's like you're driving the boat.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this time I was thinking like, oh, I'm doing this thing. It's like I'm doing the wrong thing because the universe or like, the storyteller is bitch slapping
Mm-hmm.
me back
Mm-hmm.
in place. And it's like, no, the universe or the storyteller is trying to control me. And I just have to keep pushing long enough that the universe or the storyteller realizes like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't control him. Might as well just let him tell the story. And like, it's getting to the point where it's like, I prove myself to the storyteller and to the universe where it's like, the person writing, like my soul is like, I trust you enough to know that whatever story you're telling is going to be way better than the story that I came up with for you.
Have you seen Big Trouble in Little China? It's an
Uh,
old Kurt Russell movie from like the 80s.
maybe I don't think so, but maybe like a long time ago.
What we just said just helped me understand that movie. It's the movie is like Kurt Russell plays this like stereotype like white like savior hero type guy, this beefy like the superhero kind of I'm the hero of the movie kind of thing. He's a little bit slow, and he's the kind of guy that's like, all right, I'm just gonna go and do the thing. And his sidekick, like his friend, is like this Asian guy that kind of knows kung fu, and he's along for the ride the whole time. But so often in that movie, it's like the Kurt Russell character, he makes some brash decision and then his friend kind of has to get him out of it. He like is the muscles behind, a lot of the stuff. And he's sort of the side character. What I realized is happening with that movie, it's like you kind of feel like the movie's a commentary on how like predictable and like how our hero archetypes work. And so it was like poking fun at that, but I realized like there's a deeper level of like when the side character or the character that is not meant to be the main character becomes so like much themselves that it doesn't matter like what the main characters are doing. It's like, well, we have famous people, we have rich people, we have all these people, but like this very normal person starts doing things that it's like that's not what a normal person does. That's not, they don't lean hard into stuff that's people feel like is difficult or torture or whatever. It's like now you start becoming the main character. It's like a scene in a movie where um like a cameo or something where somebody like kind of completely steals the scene. It's like what if the whole movie, like the best friend character or the sidekick is stealing the movie. And that's what that movie is about. It's about you are the side character in somebody else's story, but if you continue being yourself so much, you actually are the hero of that movie. Even though the movie stars somebody else, they're the main character and they're the hero. The real hero is the guy on the side.
Okay, this the perfect example for this I feel like is King of Queens. Like the father character in there was supposed to only be there for the pilot, but
Uh-huh.
people loved him so much that he became one of the main characters. And it's like so many of like the plots of the story are
Mhm.
centered around him.
Uh-huh.
It's like even though he's not the star of the show, it's like the show would not exist without him.
Right. Yeah, the King of Queens that we know and love is like that show would not exist without Arthur. And oh my gosh, yeah, that's what we're doing. That's that's why the crap and like all of the stuff that feels like what is happening to me. It's like we're on the right track because we're attracting all of these roadblocks and obstacles. It's like, you know, we're trying to like the the kid is trying to push the ant back into the like no, go over here, go over here, go over here. It's like you're trying to get the ant to like crawl on your finger and it's like, nope, I'm going around, I'm going around, I'm going around. So it's like you get to the point where it's like you either gotta squish me or let me do my thing.
I think it's actually different. I feel like there's a few different paths. There's the one where it's like, all right, I'm just the main character, you're the storyteller. I'm
Hmm.
just going to do what you tell me. And then we create the version of the story that the author wanted to tell.
Hmm.
Then there's the version where it's like the main character keeps fighting and struggling against
Mm.
the writer, and the writer eventually like gives up. It's like, fine, I give up. You write the story. I'm out. And then
Mm.
there's this third version where it's like you prove to the writer that you're so amazing that you need to collaborate together. And by doing that, it's going to make a story better than if you were in charge and if he was in charge, which brings us back to the whole rider and horse, and you need to become the centaur. It's like
Yes, the centaur.
you need to form a partnership with the storyteller.
Hmm. So this is where it's like the mind stops trying to be in control and the heart doesn't just like say I need to run the show, but it's like they're like, oh, you know what, we need each other. Like we need to do this not as not as partners who are creating a compromise, but it's like we need to team up. So it's like the thing that I was talking about earlier about relationships. It's like on some level you just gotta like keep doing the thing and like find a way where somebody doesn't bug you and that sort of thing. It's like that's one way to look at relationship. But in a very real way, it's like what two people bring to the table, it's like is so much more than like those two things added together. It's like exponentially bigger. And that's I think that's what it can be is
The perfect example of this is our friendship.
hmm
Like if I was the star and you were along for the ride, or you're the star and I'm along for the ride, like it might be fun, but it wouldn't be the same. But because we're
yeah.
like have this back and forth, everything we're creating seems so much more magical and it's so
Mm.
much more fun. And I feel like that's why, oh, dude, we're not just the hero of the story partnering with the storyteller. We're two heroes of two stories partnering with two storytellers. So there's two storytellers working together and two main characters working together. It's like, what
Hmm.
is the, it's kind of like aliens, predators, aliens versus predators. Like, not to say that aliens versus predators is
Uh-huh.
necessarily better, but it's like, let's combine those two and create it into something unique.
Right. It's like, ooh.
Dude, okay, this
Oh,
doesn't
you know
exist
what
for
this is?
D, but it's like instead
There's,
of a spin-off, it's a spin-on. So it's like instead of taking a character from the story and breaking it up, it's like you take two sitcoms and merge them into one.
you know what you just helped me see is like, this is like, okay, Star Wars is George Lucas's baby. Jurassic Park is Steven Spielberg's baby. It's like, but these two guys who are geniuses in their own right, amazing, massive storytellers, it's like, they're like, what can we work on together? You get them working together, and then you have Indiana Jones, which is its own classic, unreplicable. Like, there's no hero like Indiana Jones. Like, it's like little references and amalgamations of like every great story, but it's like everything that George Lucas loves about story and everything that Steven Spielberg loves about story like mashed together into this like who would come up with like something like that? But it's like it just leaves this impression, and that's what our friendship, that's what our business is gonna be. It's like
Oh
we're
shit,
becoming
dude,
Indiana
we're
Jones
we're
of
running
whatever
away
is
from the
driving us.
boulder right now.
Yeah, yes. It's like every single freaking thing that happens to Indiana Jones, like that, those are the moments that are being stacked up in our lives until we get to the moment where it's like we just aren't at the end of the movie yet.
Dude, hard work is our snake.
Yes. Oh my God. Hard work. Why did it have to be hard work?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh man. Oh my God. I think that's it. I think that's what's happening is when you look through your life through the lens of storytelling, you realize that the things that you think are the things you don't want are actually necessary when you step way back and you look at the whole thing as a bigger picture. It's like this would be the most boring, like stupid shit. It's like this is like the 16th James Bond movie. It's like nobody remembers the ones in the middle. Nobody cares. It's like only the weirdos who've seen every single James Bond movie ever. Like we've seen a few. You've seen one. You've seen every single James Bond movie. Like they get more updated. They get a little bit different, looking
Sometimes they
guy, but
get
it's
worse.
like they're the same thing. And but you can't say the same thing about Indiana Jones. Like it's just so itself that it's like there's nothing you can compare it to.
It's true. I'm trying to think of another Indiana Jones, and there isn't. It's like another James Bond. Like there was a ton of like,
Hmm.
there was Get Smart. There's like in Mission
Hmm.
Impossible. There's so many other ones.
Yeah,
Indiana Jones is the only one of his kind.
yeah, and the only things that even come close are like derivatives of Indiana Jones. Like there's the um what is the Uncharted and Lara Croft are sort of like pay homage to like that sort of adventure type character, but there really
It's
isn't
not
like,
the same.
yeah, there really isn't like an archetype that fits into that.
Because the thing is, like Indiana Jones, you can have an Indiana Jones movie without Indiana Jones. You could have a Lara Croft movie without Lara Croft. Like, aside from the fact that she's a woman and she's a badass, like, there's
Hmm.
nothing unique about her.
Hmm.
And it's like Uncharted. Well, I haven't seen the movie yet. I've only played
Hmm.
the fourth game, but it's just like it's the gameplay and the mystery and the like intrigue and everything itself. Like the main character is just a main character.
Yeah. Hmm.
I should probably go buy some food because I'm at the point where I'm fantasizing about eating a carrot. That is not a good sign. Like I've
Oh
sunk to
man.
that level of like I'm just picturing like, oh, how am I gonna like prepare the chili if I don't have a knife to cut the carrots? And I'm like, I don't care. I just want to eat a carrot right now.
I'll let you go, but this has been amazing.
It has, and I'm thinking tomorrow is the time to lean into this, be the main character. So tomorrow, how about we just like skip the call and I'll just lean in, do the work I have to do,
Hmm.
and kind of like we can check in after that. Like the later in the day, if I
Yeah.
finish early, or like if you feel the need to reach out or whatever,
Hmm.
like we can stay in touch. But I
Hmm.
don't feel the need to kind of start the day with a floating session.
Okay. Let me change my calendar just so that I don't ask you like I forget what we're doing.
To be
All
fair, I'll
right.
probably do
All right. Cool.
that.
Well, hope you get some food.
I hope so too, because I don't know what I'm gonna do if my cards don't work and I don't have the internet and I don't have cash. But either way, I'm expecting a gift from the universe. So,
You just
Ryder, I'm expecting that. Don't let me down.
all right.
All right. Enjoy your day.
You too.